Hello.
Hey,
How's it going?
doing good. I was already crying before we even started this. I watched a little video because I wanted something instead of because I always feel like I'm not probably the best arbiter to talk about intersex, even though I have personal experience,
Right.
because I've focused most of my time not on that kind of activism. You know what I'm saying? Most of my stuff is not really that, even though I bring it up once in a while, just as a form of activism. I haven't spent my life trying to be involved in it in a sense.
Right. Like there's people who focus that on that. So
Correct. So I wanted to before I do a lot of explaining of how I feel. I also wanted to get other people's perspective, and just also so people know, I personally feel it, unlike people that may be say homosexual or bisexual. I'm just talking about types of things society's not used to. Just
right.
I'm not saying these two things are the same. I'm just making a comment that people can feel camaraderie because you feel kind of similar. But because intersex is like, to me, a variation from male to female and everything in between. So that's why sometimes they say you're a man. Well, they don't understand. You can be both a man and intersex. Intersex man is a man that does not have genitalia or something else that matches with what a man's supposed to be exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, but there's different variations. You can have it more and more and more closer to, neutral or both, meaning that someone could be born in a sense with no genitalia. That is not uncommon. Or, I mean, it's rare, but I mean, I'm saying it's possible. That's what I meant. I was gonna say
It's a
uncommon.
thing within
Yeah,
within
it's
the realm of
within right.
possibility.
It's a thing within a possibility of intersex. Also, being born with both genitals is also a thing, or some variation or configuration of that, or like I said, nothing. So I mean, there's everything from just one little tiny hole and doesn't mean anything in a sense. Maybe it's the pee out of, but I mean, there's nothing else at all. And that even could be internally. Sometimes things could look normal on the outside, but internally, like I heard about, just so people understand, the variation is so varied. That's why my point I was trying to make. It's harder to feel camaraderie. Right. So first off, because
Okay.
we're not like an intersex man, which I'm more. In other words, so it's really confusing. So I'll try to intersex my body, like as my physical body as a male. I'm not talking about my gender because that's a different issue
Right.
right now. But my physical body is more leaning to male than leaning to female. For intersex, I'm talking about.
Okay.
So calling me an intersex man isn't like crazy because, in a sense, I do fit more that masculine theme. And then there's some people are more neutral. They're almost androgynous, and then
Right.
other ones could be more female. This also doesn't mean they're gender. People can understand, like we're going
Yeah.
to go into a lot more, but intersex can be trans. In other words, I was assigned male at birth, but I could still feel female and thus be trans and also be intersex.
Yeah.
Just people, I know it's confusing because they feel like this means you're not the other thing, but also that doesn't mean everybody who is intersex feels or whatever that they're non-binary. I feel non-binary. Just people know I say male, but that's wrong. That's just because I feel I don't want to be harassed in society. Really,
Right.
it's nothing. That's not how I feel. I would never associate myself with a male. In fact, even before I knew I was intersex as an adult at 22 or something, or maybe 3 or 4, I don't know, 20 something, my mid 20s. Anyways, but before I was told by a doctor that I was intersex, I didn't know this
Right.
because I was not informed as a child and was lied to. Oh, they were doing a circumcision and they couldn't use the machine, so they did it by hand, and then they messed up, and then they had to sew it up, and so that's what I was told. I mean, fucking lies. That's fucking lies. No, I had intersex surgery to
Yeah.
supposedly correct me to look more male. Anyway,
Right.
so what I'm saying, so it's so different. It's my body, right? So my body though is more male than neutral or female as an intersex person. That's what I'm saying. Intersex is kind of a whole bunch of different things.
For
And
sure.
this is another thing too. Some people can feel, say, male, but this has nothing to do with them. That's a gender issue. And they could be anywhere on the spectrum. That's what I'm trying to say. They could be on the spectrum where they're almost, to most people, a woman, or all the way to almost feel like a man. Or they could be in the middle and they still could be a man, or they could be a woman.
Right.
I just try because I feel like it's. I feel like people. What I'm trying to say is, I feel like if people say I'm someone, not me, but if someone else feels trans, that because they feel trans, they cannot be intersex. It's somehow like, you're choosing one or the other, and that's a misunderstanding.
Yeah, no, I think that's I don't know. Maybe it's because I've spent time learning about gender a lot, but like it seems like pretty clear that these are all separate things, and they can be to varying degrees interplaying and intermixing.
Right. Yes, and I do have a picture where it shows, like supposed to be man, and then all the way to women or whatever, and all these things in between, and not even that many. But there's actually, that's not a totally correct way to think of intersex, because like I said, some could have no genitalia. What do you call that? And some could have both genitalia. What do you call that? So
so it's not just a spectrum.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm trying to show is that it's not a thing. It's not like I'm one, or like I said, to make it confusing, calling me an intersex man. Okay. Since I am more leaning that way. But if you want to know my gender is genderqueer. I feel, or dual gender. I feel kind of male and female, but it's enmeshed like all over my life. But something part of me probably is more male than I would normally be perceived, because of becoming a sociopath because of extreme abuse. Because our society sees people that are cold, self-assured, confident, violent, whatever, as male.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that actually doesn't, my gender is not male. But everyone perceives that kind of like dominance as that's masculine. That's alpha.
It's a masculine trait, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yes. But they're not understanding my real personality is real feminine, or way more feminine. And people have perceived me as homosexual because they, like I said, I can act so feminine. The reason I became aggressive and mean is because I was abused and picked on a lot, like shit lot. I've been almost 100 fights, like street fights. I had 23 bus fights just on the bus coming or going to school in 1 year.
Right.
And a lot of it was people picking on me, because my wife helped me understand, a lot of it probably was my gender, because I would do things that broke the rules. And so yet I'm kind of tough. And so then they thought I'm going to pick on him or beat him up and prove I'm better or whatever. And I just kept winning because I was fucking tough because of being,
because you were abused before.
I was abused, right? I was abused. So I was already to kill. I didn't start with scared. I just started with, okay, we're going to fight.
Yeah.
And getting hurt. I've been hit before. Okay, no problem. I mean, so you're going to get demolished. Anyways, I don't go into that. But I'm also nonviolent now, but by choice. But like I said, I wanted to watch the video because I wanted people to get different perspective. Just like this one person interviewed me as an intersex person. And I said, I would also like you to have this friend of mine who's more female leaning.
Okay.
She would not probably like me to call her that, but I'm just trying to help people grasp. I'm not saying that that's how we should classify intersex people. Because just so people understand, I'm trying to do this as activism. So it's kind of hard at the same time to talk about things people don't like to talk about and explain it in ways that can help the general public grasp this differently.
Right.
Because I think they would said they're they. So they're non-binary. And that's all they would have said. I think they're intersex non-binary. I think how they would have. So all I was saying is trying to express that the doctor should get perspectives, because the other person doesn't do a beard, tries to address somewhat female. Okay. And I have a beard, I dress more masculine. So I said, you should really get both perspectives, because I don't feel like I have somehow cornered the market on understand how to be intersex or whatever.
Right.
So I felt like it's important to get a more perspective. That's the thing I want people to understand. We're not like all some great group and all. In fact, most intersex people generally don't tell anyone because they're ashamed. Yeah. And I was put down and felt shameful. So, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so we're gonna watch the video. It's about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna do the blog, and then in between that, I will give more of my own personal story.
Okay. Well, let's get this screen shared.
Babies are assigned a sex, but that assignment could cause complications, especially if someone is born intersex. Academy Award nominated director Julie Cohen follows 3 people who were born intersex, including River Gallo, who are now hoping to help others develop a deeper understanding of what being intersex means in the new film, Every Body. Let's take a look.
Society generally considers that biological sex is cut and dry. Actually, it's not cut and dry. We don't fall neatly into that male-female box. I was born intersex, and although I was born with a vagina, I was also born with internal testes.
We live in a society that's so binary. So as an intersex person, where do I fit?
Julie and River are joining me now. Thank you both so much for being here and breaking this down for us and introducing us to this film. Julie, I want to start with you. What does it mean to be intersex? Let's start there.
Yes, good. Start with basics, because our level of knowledge on this as a society is kind of woefully low. And obviously you can't advocate for your rights if no one knows who you are. Intersex is an umbrella term for somewhere between 30 and 40 different biological variations. That means that someone's anatomy, chromosomes, hormones, or other sex traits don't fit neatly and squarely into the male and female boxes that we're accustomed to thinking are such a sharp divide.
How common is this?
Pause for 1 second.
Someone to be born.
All right. So did you hear that? So it's not that you have to have all of them. Any of them is, in a sense, relatable to what is intersex. That's why it's the same thing. Like what I'm saying is, I've said before to people, I don't think you should have to prove something of your body to prove you're intersex. You know, but here's the thing too, just so you know, that just because you say I remember I told you, in fact, I was kicked off of Instagram because I shared an art thing of intersex genitalia, just drawings of basics. There's more variation than even that showed. But just to get the point, that when you say that, oh, that's a man or a woman, and because they have a penis or not a penis, I'm like, how do you explain all this stuff?
Yeah, that's right.
And I got kicked off of Instagram for life for that.
For life, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty extreme ban, eh?
But because I was going against bigots, and of course they get pissed off and turn me in. But I'm just saying, because they were trying to say, oh, you're just a man, or you're a woman, or it just matters what's between your legs, and I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about,
right?
Seriously. And then why I wanted to do this video, because people were saying, in a sense, the intersex doesn't exist, because there was a person found who had Turner syndrome. And I said intersex, ancient intersex. And this person goes, oh, no, that's DSD or whatever it is, which has to do with some disorder kind of thing. They want to label intersex conditions. It doesn't make them not intersex.
Right.
And what I wanted to make a bigger point about, too, is that this is a label that some doctor, practitioners, whatever, probably religious ones, or had a lot of clients in some religious area that want the not intersex. The reason why they're not intersex goes back to religion, kind of, and people's bigots in society of only a binary. Intersex, in a sense, means there's not just a binary. They hate that, so they want a different word. But I think the word, I have to look when we do the reading maybe, but I think the word came out in 2006 or something. To try to be, instead of because some people feel uncomfortable with intersex because they feel strongly male or strongly female. Well, here's a news for people: you can be born not intersex, feel strongly male or strongly female, and maybe be trans.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Fuck this horse shit. I just hate when. So I just want to bring up all this, because when people say gender things and they get all, oh, I'm this or that. I'm like, okay, here's another thing too. Let's say there is intersex people, and once again, as you know how I feel, it could be on any variation. So that variation is your biological, not your gender. So for me, I'm saying,
Right.
Of course, every person who's intersex can define themselves as themselves. I'm just saying for me, and it's a general thing. These people can be anything. So once again, calling me a male or whatever, it really has no thing to somehow remove my genderqueer status. It doesn't remove my intersex status. You calling me anything, this doesn't do anything. But your opinion, it doesn't somehow relabel me. Here's another thing too. If people are intersex and they want to establish that they feel strongly only male, they don't even want to say they're intersex. They want to call themselves DSD. You know, as an anarchist, of course, I would say you should do what's right for you. The issue I have was when you say that I have to stop calling myself intersex or that I don't exist as an intersex person. Yeah, that is an issue to me.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Just wanted to clarify that. So I do believe that people can define themselves. They can say I'm only male. Fine, that's fine with me. But don't say other intersex people don't exist. That's fuck you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? You can self-define. That's cool. Yeah. When you say everyone else has to define the way you,
yeah, that obviously that's no good.
Well, especially too, I try to say, because they try to push that shit on me. Like several people that I just told them, yeah, whatever, fuck off. And they get mad because I don't get pissed. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Your opinion is literally worthless to me. But there's a thing that says that when they asked people who were intersex conditions, do you use the term intersex? 60% use that to define themselves. 3% use the DSD that the bigots try to always push on.
3%.
3%.
So yeah. The minority.
Like, you're using the wrong words. You need to get updated. I said, oh yeah, because it is an intersex person. I've never talked to, of course, any other intersex people. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Even though it's my own body. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You should definitely explain it to me, please.
For sure.
Yeah. Did you go to a doctor and have them talk to you about intersex at the doctor's office? Yeah, I did. So.
Right. Nonsense.
But so, just so you know, like people, I won't even, especially now, I'm not doing direct activism all the time. I won't. If there's a big session, I just delete them. I don't know. It's not my job to freaking teach every fool. But
I realized I'm a propagandist. So if people come and comment shitty things on my page, I just delete them.
Right.
Like I'm just not. I don't play these games.
Yeah, I'm done playing games. Especially, I won't discuss about how I should not define myself as a person. I'm like, yeah, you can literally go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, you're this, you're this. I'm sorry, you don't get to tell me what I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck. Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah. Let's watch.
All right.
Or an intersex.
Right. Well, it's much more common than people think. The figure that the United Nations uses is 1.7% of the population with some kind of intersex traits. A sort of, by a narrower definition that might lead to surgical intervention, is more like 1 out of every 1,500 people.
You all have become leaders in this movement, advocating for the intersex community. How has that been for you?
I kind of happened upon the whole intersex rights movement and the community through the internet and social media. And it's just crazy to me that something that I thought I was going to take to the grave with me and never speak about these intimate parts of my body my whole life is now something that I'm creating art from and find a whole community of people who are also fighting for the rights of body autonomy.
All right, let's watch a portion of the movie.
Our goal is to pass a bill to condemn these medically unnecessary surgeries.
A huge revolution starting right now. Just existing as an intersex person is grounds for celebration.
So, kind of take us through your journey a little bit.
So when I was 12, I was told that I was born without testes, so with a penis, but without testes, and that I would have to start taking testosterone to go through puberty. And then at 16, I had a surgery to implant prosthetic testicles into my scrotum. The idea being, if my genitals looked like that of a normal cisgendered man, that then I would have a normal life. The irony of it all is that later in my life, I would then come out as trans feminine and non-binary. And the surgery that doctor said was necessary for my health was actually just a cosmetic surgery, and was not necessary to affirm my gender now as a trans feminine non-binary person. So it was really hard for my parents, who grew up in El Salvador and came to the country in the 80s, and they were just kind of listening to doctor's orders. And it wasn't until I came in as queer in my early 20s and then intersex later on that I realized that all these notions of what my gender was all decided for me. And it's not until now in my life that I'm actually taking agency over what my gender means to me now and how I wish to express it.
The main message that you want people to walk away with once they watch this film?
I want people to walk away from this film understanding that intersex people exist, because that's like the first step, that they're worthy of fair, humane medical treatment just like everyone else, and kind of wanting to advocate for their intersex friends and neighbors. I also really want people to walk away from this movie feeling good. There's a lot that's empowering and inspiring about the modern day intersex rights movement.
River and Julie, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving us your insights and introducing us introducing those who may not be aware of intersex to that community. Thank you so much. You can watch Everybody right now in theaters.
So, can you give me what you feel you know already, or what what you think from seeing that or hearing me talk or whatever? So, because I want to hear your perspective, because I know I've talked a little bit in front of you.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I've always understood intersex people to have been people that had, like you say, like a variety of different sex traits that may or may not fit into the spectrum of male or female in the biological sex kind of way. And one of the things I always related it to transness in a sense, like, because gender and the way that society portrays or views gender and biological sex are so intermingled that it's really hard to
I agree that it's definitely related, and the bigotry is definitely similar.
Right.
They want to say that the trans people don't exist, and they want to say intersex people don't exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like I said, or they want to try to say that we're the ones, because we're intersex, we have to fit some specific thing. Like I have to be homosexual, which I'm not, or I have to be, this or that gender, but I feel how I feel. I mean, I knew I felt this before I was told I was intersex. I got sober at 17 and was going to AA meetings and trying to be sober. And I was really worried about having sex with women. So someone told me, just go into like an all men's group. I never really had hung out with like all men before.
Right.
And it was the weirdest feeling. I realized I don't belong here.
Those men's groups are pretty weird anyway.
but probably true. But I was just saying for myself. I started to realize, because I noticed how other people behave and what they did. Because I for most of my life, I was a sociopath. I really didn't give a fuck. I just did whatever I wanted. Right. And people that abuse would say things, and I kind of would try to take that into consideration because I didn't want to keep fighting or whatever. But I didn't really pay attention to other people. It's kind of an issue about being selfish. You just don't really care. But like I said, I lost care because I was abused. I feel like, well, no one cared about me, so I just stopped caring. Why should I care?
Right.
Anyways, the gender thing, like I said, people try to all the time say it, or like the trans stuff. That's why I said it's kind of like a turf. These people, whenever someone comes to me and says DSD, I first think bigot.
Right.
So I'm just telling anybody else. Anyone tells you that intersex person actually should be classed DSD, more than likely you're talking to a bigot.
Yeah. One of the things that I always I remember like conversations with normies, right? Like they don't know anything. They hear something on the news about gender or trans people, and they're like, "Oh, there's men and women and this," and then you go, "Okay, but intersex people exist, right?" And they go, "Oh yeah, but it's so rare, it doesn't even matter." I said, "It's like I always point out, it's as common as red hair. Like it's literally as common as red hair."
Right. So but it's because people want to deny that we exist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and it doesn't, and also I think that there's no movement. Like how many people will say, you know, they're for trans rights? A lot of people openly or whatever, which they should. But how many people also say intersex? In fact, there was where I was on LinkedIn, right? And there's this, I don't remember now, but some homosexual, whatever, you know, LGBTQ thing. And they said they wanted to hear stories about people, you know, who were, you know, trans or homosexual or bisexual or whatever. And I said, I'm intersex. Would you want to hear my story? No response. Right.
Interesting.
Then a couple of gay guys that had drawn there was that hey, why are you not answering Damien? No answer to them.
Oh,
then one of them goes, wow, I guess the organization doesn't support intersex people. No response.
Wow.
So to me, yeah, but that's how I just like I went one time to a place, you know, for LGBTQ, and I told them about me being intersex, and one of the guys says, well, you're heavy, maybe it just, you know, and I was like, if
so
I said I was trans,
they got a body shame too,
well,
right?
If I said I was trans, would you then question my gender choice or statements? I was like, I was thinking, and these people are gay and lesbian. I'm like,
this is the group that's supposed to be the allies, right?
Yeah. Shouldn't they be? Anyways, so I felt most of the time I just feel alone. Even I don't feel no intersex people really. I had some two people that were kind of close to me, intersex people that on LinkedIn, but I have, like I say openly, but then a couple times people have said to me privately, but they like don't, you know, keep talking or doing. They just say, yeah, me too, and then you know they're gone. But so I'm just saying it's kind of lonely. It's kind of lonely. You have no support, and people don't constantly champion me, and then if I tell about it, they don't care.
Right.
You know, so it just it actually has like the least human rights. Like there's all kinds of countries that have no support or, you know, actually allowed to violate intersex people's bodies without consent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for cosmetic reasons. Which aren't the right all about not cosmetically changing children's genders to fit the norm? Oh yeah, you mean like what they do to intersex kids?
Like when exactly.
Like what happened to me, right? And they said, oh, it's only 1 in 1,500. So I'm rare. I had to have my genitals cut. So any surgical, what would they say? Surgical something like where they do something. It's cosmetic, like when the other person said that they have, you know, fake testicles put in.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just saying. So the rights all mad about, you know, don't do that. But here they're doing it against the child's consent.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I know it's not exactly related, but it is like with the whole non-consensual child surgery thing. Where's the anti-circumcision community in this? Like, where do they come out?
I don't know. I've not heard them say specifically anything about. I always talk about sensitivity of the penis and stuff. I don't ever hear about intersex.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they don't. I don't know, but
it's just
once
not
again. Well, I do. I say I have a blog that says I'm against. You know, you should not be doing surgery on your child that's a non-medical.
Yeah.
Without their consent. Are you kidding me? What the hell?
Yeah. Just because, for whatever nonsense reason you come up with.
Yeah, I mean, literally no. So, yeah. But anyway, the point is, I wanted people to grasp that this is more varied and complicated. And another thing too, I've been speaking about complicated. I've been told too that they don't want to hear about my stuff. Like people, you know, when I was on Facebook, because this was said to me more than like probably 3 or 4 times. So it's not like it was always, but it was said to me more than once. Was that, you know, I was just getting comfortable with the concept of trans. I can't just deal with anything else.
It's not
I'm
even
like, what the fuck? I'm literally telling you that this is who I am, and
you're like, no, I am not ready for this. So you just have to hide until I'm ready.
Fucked up. That's fucked up. Like, wow, thanks for fuck you, I guess.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
But I'm just saying, or they'll say, oh well, you know, just say you're queer. Just it's too complicated. Like, or how, you know? I'm like, I'm not gonna say I am. I'm genderqueer. Or dual gender, because I'm not. But so I'm not queer in the sense of being bisexual or homosexual. I am feminine. I mean, I do have a very strong feminine side, and that's more, in a sense, would be, like I said, even more if I had not been abused to the point of feeling like, you know, like I have complex PTSD, you know, like not just one event, but multiple events that were traumatic, and that years and years of that, just, you know, great time. Like I told you before, they did a study, and 50% of people who are sociopaths have had extreme child abuse, but only 10% of psychopaths. Because psychopaths are born, sociopaths are made.
Right.
Because and if it wasn't child abuse, I bet you it was something else traumatic that likely war or whatever. Something else, you know, seeing violence, you know, or something to trigger them.
It seems like a cop-out to me to be like, it's too complicated for me to comprehend, so I'm just not going to support you. Like, it's such a fucking, like, because it's actually not that complicated to just be like, you do you, and I don't judge you for it. Like, that's pretty simple, actually. But it's very strange to me.
Yeah, and it's not like I even am asking people to understand. I'm just saying this is who I am, and certainly don't fucking tell me that I'm not.
Yeah, that's right.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
I didn't ask you to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just treat me with respect and acknowledge my human rights, and like,
don't say I don't exist.
It's not actually complicated.
No, it isn't. But like I said, I felt that I wanted to address this because I feel like, because a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, that's a man," or "That's a woman." I'm like, an intersex man or an intersex woman?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Like because
But
so let's read the blog. So go read the title first.
Okay, so the Intersex Rights Movement, 60% used the term intersex and the label DSD, disorders of sex development, DSD, or quote unquote disorders of sex development, had only 3% support in defining their sex characteristics.
And I just point that out for the people that think that they should listen to the bigots when the bigots say, "Oh no, that's what people use now." Like the fuck, they don't use that.
Right.
And there's another thing too. I've said to the bigots, I told them, I said, you know what? You do know there's an intersex movement and intersex foundations. There isn't DSD movement.
No.
Or DSD foundations.
It's just they want to label people as having disorders.
Correct. Instead of, well, because you're a male with disorder or you're a female with disorder. See what I'm saying? Now you're back to the binary which they want to force.
Yeah, of course.
You get my point? Which, like I said, if someone self-defines, wants to do that, but doesn't make anyone else do that, that's fine.
Sure.
You can define yourself any way you fucking. You haven't created truth for everybody else, but feel free to define yourself as however you fucking want.
Yeah, that's right. So then I guess we've got a picture.
Right. I made this because I was trying to explain. The thing what I was trying to say is there's so much variation when you say intersex. People think that, oh, that's a this or that's a that. I'm like, yeah.
And
by the way, if someone wants to see the genital stuff, there's a blog link that says I think fighting the rightists or something. It's something like that.
Okay.
But that's where it has an art thing, and then even on the art thing, I drew my genitals because my genitals are actually not on the thing.
Oh, okay.
Because, anyways, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just saying if someone wants to see why, and that's also the thing that got me. It's not a big deal, but it's just a little drawing. But that's the thing that got me fucking banned for life on.
Right.
But anyways, I didn't want to show it here because I wanted to focus on more on the activism issue and to get it. And also for people to understand this, so that when bigots say, "Oh, intersex is blah blah blah," whatever the crap they say, you can go, "Yeah, that's not right."
Yeah, you're wrong. Actually,
you're wrong. And, oh no, everyone use DSD. Doctors even use that. Yeah, that's not what intersex that you're using. And
which doctors?
Yeah, well, even if all the doctors, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
all the doctors.
Yeah.
The intersex people do not use that. It's only 3% compared to 60%. So it's not even a competition. It's not like it's half and half or something.
Right.
And just like a lot of times they'll say, well, the intersex people generally say they're male female. Yeah, just like I do. But as I've already told you, I do it to hide in society.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I don't want to deal with bigots. I live in the fucking South right now. I don't want to deal with fucking bigots. I want to lay low. I'm not trying.
Yeah, you want to be able to walk the street without harassment and yeah.
Which I'm wearing nail polish. I've had people, harass me in Florida for wearing nail polish. Jeez. I've had people harass me, even like I have a pink shirt on. I get harassed because, like, see, if I was a more like weaker guy, I could probably wear this and they wouldn't say anything. But see, I look tough, and then I also have the pink, which is like. Alpha male with pink, red sirens are going off.
It's too much of a contradiction for their brains.
Right. Well, that's what reminded me one time. I was getting a massage, right? And I was telling this chick about being intersex and also how I feel very feminine. And she says, yeah, but look how big you are. And I said, oh, if we used your logic. And by the way, she was a lesbian and she was a butch.
Okay.
And she was also 4 feet, and I'm closer to 6 feet, right? So I said, if under your logic, then you should be super feminine because you're super small.
Yeah.
Which totally
it doesn't make any sense.
Goes, oh, that's a good point. I'm like, yeah. Nice for respecting my gender too. I mean, I just thought, like, man, why is it that so many people feel like they have to respect every gender, or sex persuasion or biological body except intersex? Like when you say you're intersex, everybody, even when they're even like for pro-gay rights, or they like drop the ball.
It's weird.
I'm not saying that there's not people out there that probably do a great job, but because I have that one nurse I did a video with, who's a lesbian Christian, and she talked to me as an intersex, atheist.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but
yeah, like you say, not everybody's going to fit in. Like, not everybody's going to drop the ball on that. But
well, that's what I was trying to say. But I'm saying I'm pretty shocked at how much the ball seems to be dropped by people you would think would not be ever dropping the ball.
Yeah, because obviously, like, as a person who's outside of all of the gender, like the non-conformist, I don't know, like the non-cis hetero gender spectrum,
right?
I I'm cis and hetero and whatnot, and I conform pretty close to my gender roles, but so it surprises me that intersex or isn't more supported within, say, the trans community or the LG. Like,
some people think we don't belong at all. Like they think when I put because I add an I at the end, LGBTQIA, right? I add or I stop at I. Sometimes I don't put the A I have before because I'm focusing on myself. But but they get mad. They go, take that off.
No, the I belongs there. Like
that's all I'm trying to say is that they, once again, take it off. So I have to fight for my rights to be.
It's like the
queer community.
It's like the people who are like the LGB without the T community people, like that. And you go like, what are you talking about? How are you like this?
Well, and I've also had not like tons, but I've had a few trans people try to tell me that I'm probably just trans and I should just transition. And I'm like, I feel fine with who I am. The problem is everyone tells me I can't be who I am, like you said, because it's a contradiction. That bothers them.
Yeah.
If I would just go one way or the other, that wouldn't bother. It bothers them is that I don't do that.
Which you see too with like there's a lot of non-binary erasure even in like the discourses that we have generally, right? Like you don't see non-binary trans people when you were talking about trans issues. We see men who transition to women or a assigned male at birth,
right,
who transition to female and or the other way, assigned female at birth.
Transition, so people understand that when Cory says that, and I know you probably understand, and obviously, I'll say first how I feel because I don't want to talk for you, but I'm sure you feel the same. Is when he says transition, he doesn't mean like me. I always felt genderqueer. I kept feeling that how am I not fitting in with men? Like it was my fault.
Right.
Like because I realized I don't fit in, and I would do stuff, and they like football and cars, and then like I want to go to plays, and I wanted to do art and crafts and write poetry, and they're like, what the fuck? You know, it's like. But anyways, my point is that so with transitioning. And what Cory's means is you finally get the female outside that you've already always felt like, in a sense.
Yeah, and of course that varies on the individual.
Well, it varies on the individual, but I'm just saying, some people when they hear that, like you were always a man, and then you chose to become a female. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
I don't mean to say like people were a man and then they're a woman, and like no, like you're assigned this at birth. That doesn't necessarily match who you are. Exactly. Right.
Well, I just wanted to clarify, especially because this is all about gender and stuff. I wanted to clarify.
Better to be as clear as we can.
Right. Well, because also I really want people to understand. I hope this is an educational video that people can then learn, like I said, especially then fight against bigots and to be more supportive.
Yeah,
because you understand what you're supporting.
And I mean, I know that when I talk fast, sometimes I say the wrong thing. I don't want to like hurt anybody. Like I'm trying to be.
Well, it's just because you say transition, and I was thinking people could hear that and just think that once they turn from man to woman, like no, that's not what happened. No, they felt like a woman probably from birth, and then they were assigned an outside male body. Like me, I feel more female than I feel like my body looks like.
Right.
And because I then, like Cory said, do contradictions in my thinking, behavior, and stuff I like, my way I do clothes, like I used to almost always, not intentionally, just like them better. Female glasses. I thought that. I would always buy female glasses, and then I would like one time I took them up to Walmart, and the woman goes, "Oh, honey, take these back. These are for women." And as the thing actually said, for women.
But usually they're more like stylish, right?
But all I'm trying to say is that people don't grasp how our society is so oppressively pushing gender norm, just like heteronormativity. Even that's the people understand. Just because I, also feel hetero in a sense or whatever, gynosexual towards female at birth or whatever.
Right.
Because I feel that way does not mean I deny other people's feelings. Like I said, my feeling is everybody is born different. Listen to them about who the fuck they are.
Exactly.
And also don't tell me I'm not who I just should listen to me and
listen to you about who you are.
Then you'll know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's stop imposing your view onto other people.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's read the thing. So look at the picture. People are going to see the picture. Read what it says. You see a little writing in there. It says intersex people can identify. Do you see that?
Oh, yep. Intersex people can identify their gender as male, female, trans, genderqueer, etc.
Right. So that's why people, when they start to say like, they're this or that didn't remove them from being intersex. They can be anywhere on there.
For sure.
And also, I was just trying to say, just once again, just like when people do with trans, that just because they're biological is any of these variations, that doesn't tell you what their gender is.
Right.
That's all I was trying to really hone in. Like people, this is not that different than trans kind of. It's just there's a whole bunch of different biologicals that could be different genders.
Yep.
That's the
Yeah,
difference.
that's right. Because literally humanity, the possibilities are infinite in a sense, right? Like you could be anything.
But don't you think that kind of helps? It's very similar
For sure.
to the trans issue. The trans issue is believing or not, or is addressing, not believing. Is the trans issue addresses often the binary world, right?
Right.
Because it doesn't
Right.
limit that, but it normally addresses the binary male or female. So the difference is you just pull that apart and you put a bunch of things in between. Now you have the intersex variations, and of course, gender could be anything,
anywhere in there as well.
Anyway, right. And it just like that one said, a lot of people don't say that they're, I can't remember what percentage, but it's not super high. Maybe it's 10%. Say that they're non-binary or like me, genderqueer or whatever, which is non-binary. Which they used to have a web page on Wikipedia just for genderqueer, and then now they mixed it with non-binary. Well, I actually liked it before when it explained it because I think it explains it. Non-binary could be genderqueer, could be something else.
That's right. Yeah, it seems like they're different things to me, but
they're different. So just to understand, when I say genderqueer, they used to have it, so I don't even think they even explain it now, but they used to explain it that genderqueer is the feeling that you can be male or female and it can fluctuate.
Okay.
So which I've experienced, like if someone threatens me, I become uber male. I mean, I'm alpha male. I'm ready to kick ass, take now. I mean, whatever. I don't feel feminine in any way. But my normal, like, just kick it back, or do it with like my wife and stuff. She does all the controller. I don't do the controller. We watch what she wants. It's totally cool to me. I'm just saying my whole personality. People have, in fact, we used to go to a lesbian bar. They thought I was her gay friend, because of how we interact is so kind of friendly and yet not super clingy because it's like, you get what I'm saying. We're also anarchists, so we act different. And it's noticeable. It's noticeable, like, wow, these people are really acting different.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways, but it's also my gender, because it's very comfortable for me to act like that. And she's also a little more male. So she does things, and that doesn't bother me either. I mean, because, but if someone saw us, they'd be like, okay, that's not traditional roles at all. Like, well, we're not trying for that, so whatever.
Yeah, so be it.
Even like her daughter came with her husband, and just them being there kind of messed up our groove, because our groove is kind of genderqueer, where it's kind of mixed. Like some things we there's no like boundary or who's wearing anything,
Right.
Well, like I said, it's also relationship anarchy, which is
which is very uncommon as well. So
which is uncommon. So people, they also, like I said, then I don't really like interacting a lot with normal people because it doesn't feel great. That's like I told you, I really like talking to you a lot because we're like on the same wavelength, and I feel like I'm alone in this fucking sea out here.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that. It's a weird dynamic when you go out into the world and everybody's speaking in like very normalized status quo centric type views and perspectives. Like it covers pretty much everything in existence, right? Like, because as an anarchist, as a leftist, as a feminist, you see the world in a different way.
Well, exactly. Well, I would say too, wouldn't you say that after interacting with me and getting more information on intersex, wouldn't you say that your thinking on that issue is broadened?
Oh, for sure. Like I'm certainly more knowledgeable of it than I ever was before. I always thought that I was accepting of it, but I didn't know that anything.
Right.
Except that it was a thing that existed, right?
Right.
But yeah, no, it's definitely opened up how much knowledge I have, and that means that I have another avenue to analyze the world through a non-normative lens.
Right, because it's a non-normative bodies.
Yeah.
Before you even get to genders, I was born with a non-normative body, so that they felt they needed to do surgery to make me normative.
Right, eh? Yeah.
That some of that cosmetic, unnecessary surgery.
Yeah.
Anyways, So let's go on to the thing. So
All right.
So people know that the yellow with this purple circle is actually the intersex flag.
Very cool.
So go ahead and read the writing.
Okay, so it says intersex people are individuals born with any of several sex characteristics, including chromosome patterns, gonads, or genitals that, according to the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, do not fit typical binary notions of male or female bodies. Trans men have a gender identity that does not align with their female sex assignment at birth, while intersex men may have sex characteristics that do not fit typical notions of male biology.
Right, and I added that quote because I thought it was important for people to grasp, because I think that it's so hard for them to grasp intersex. Or like I said, if you say I'm an intersex man, then, or you say I'm a man, okay, well that doesn't mean I'm not intersex, because there's a thing called intersex men. So
right.
But like I said, also if you're referring to my gender, well then you're wrong.
Yeah,
because that's, even though I label myself that, or he or him, whatever, that's actually bullcrap, because that's not how I feel. So
yeah, it brings up the idea to me that like we shouldn't actually be like assuming anything about people we don't know, and until we have a conversation with someone to learn about them, maybe we should just treat them as like a human.
Well, and what do I say I should treat him as?
A dignity being.
See, do you see how when you start to see it that way, that also is why I also focus on it, just so you know, and I think that we should actually keep focus on it, is because, see, dignity being means we have an obligation to respect their rights.
Yeah.
So if I can remember, even the most hated person, Hitler, was also a dignity being. That changes how I perceive things.
Right.
So in other words, it guarantees the humanization of the person.
Yeah.
Where, as you know, most of like the horrors of society have often been because they dehumanize people and say, oh, well, they're rats, or they're scum, or trash, or
they'll call them cockroaches, or
right, whatever, right.
Yeah.
And somehow not human, or correct, or whatever, less human, whatever,
right,
bullshit. But so, yeah, all that kind of stuff is what, in a sense, there's similar stuff you're fighting here. All this, you're forcing the gender, you're forcing, and and also people really don't want to know there's all these variations.
Yeah.
But that literally, then you are the one that has the issue. You're the bigot, because this is a reality.
Yeah, that's right. Because people, they exist. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and read under it what it says.
So intersex people can identify their gender as male, female, trans, third gender, genderqueer, non-binary, etc. Being non-binary is also not the same as being intersex. Most intersex people identify as either male or female. Intersex people can identify their sexual orientation as heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, pansexual, or polysexual, or asexual, etc. Androphilia describes sexual attraction to masculinity. Gynephilia describes the sexual attraction to femininity.
Right. They just keep reading the picture.
So then, the picture says someone you know is gay, someone you know is bi, someone you know is transgender, someone you know is intersex, maybe even someone you love or respect. Think before you speak hate. And then we've got another picture. It
right.
says,
well, there's a link in between. That's actually another blog. We're not going to read the blog, but you can just read the title.
It's for homophobia, transphobia, and genderqueer phobia hurts us all. Yeah.
Then the next is a picture.
Yeah. It's a picture of a variety of hands holding, and it says, I proudly support inclusion. And then we've got...
That point is to show how some people, not of course us as anarchists, but some people focus, like you said, lesbian and gay, and to cut out bisexual, or lesbian, gay, and bi, and cut out trans, or lesbian, gay, bi, and trans, and cut out intersex, or cut out genderqueer people or non-binary people. Yeah, there's unfortunately there seems like there's a lot of bigotries.
Yeah,
and so that's also, I feel like, that's why the picture has different colors of hands too. The point was is that why I liked it was because I feel like there's also too much of like white only culture, like say in homosexual or LGBT. There's not enough, support of people of color or whatever. So there's a lot more issues going on and stuff than because of course we see through a lens of multiple things. I see a lens of axiology, which says I should look at everything, and everything that has value should be treated with value. So I mean, and of course people have value, and so they should be treated with value.
Yeah,
like I said, that's why for me especially, see, and just like I told you, Cory, sometimes I do I try to do ethics more extreme, but it's because I actually have been a very unethical person. I have robbed, I have done, loan sharking, I have, beat people up, shot people, stabbed someone, I did kidnapping, of someone. I was a drug dealer though, but I'm just saying.
I think you've told that story.
Right,
before.
but all I'm trying to say is I did a lot of really shit things, and this is all when I was a kid.
Right.
So it's not like current stuff, but it's when I was on drugs but I changed my life, because people started being kind to me, and I realized, wow, it's this wonderful thing. And so I felt really ashamed of the kind of person I was. I hated that people treated me bad, and then I felt ashamed that I was also a bad person that treated people bad.
Right.
And so I was like, well, fuck. You know what I can do? I can't change the world, but I can change how I behave.
Yeah, for sure. So then we've got
a thing that I drew, taking from some other kind of people that have done stuff like this.
Okay.
But just to try to break stuff down so people see it's a lot more complicated, like how people feel. Just like another thing too, there's also sex behavior can be different than actually sexual desire.
Right.
Or even orientation. Like even in like a lot of people will call people pedophiles, but a pedophile is actually a specific thing.
Right.
A pedophile is someone who is attracted to sex with children or relationships with children.
Right.
Okay? That's like a mental thing, a sick thing, right? But that doesn't mean other people don't do sexual molestation. They're just not pedophiles. Those are called opportunist, in a sense, sexual, predators or whatever. And those can be for all kinds of different reasons.
Right. Again,
rape, like sex with children, rape. So this kind of stuff actually doesn't generally really relate to sex.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just making a comment to remind people that why it can be not an attraction and yet they're doing this behavior. Anyways, I'm just trying to show you that things can be varied.
Yeah.
And often we say things and we act like it's some global word,
Right. We use this word and it somehow encompasses all the things within this area.
Right. And that's all. So all I'm trying to say, like personhood. This is just trying to explain personhood. How your gender identity can be one thing and your love identity can be another. And this happens to people who are bisexual. They could have a gender identity where they say they're even cis, but they're bisexual. Right. But they may love one gender more than the other. That's their love identity. It doesn't mean who they have sex with. They may have sex with both.
Right.
Or have sexual attraction for both, but they love more one. Just like your style expression. Like I said, I kind of do male style. But see, gender expression is like how you act and feel. In the relationship orientation, right? There's different ways of doing it. How your sex drive can be high, low. All this is just to show you that this simple thing, like, oh, it's just this or this, which I hear bigots say, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. I know what a blah, blah, blah is when I see one or whatever the hell.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's what.
Well, I'm just trying to show you that if you really think about it, we're really there's more going on with like who we are and our orientation of self, of personhood, than we realize. We don't think about it or whatever, maybe, but I'm just trying to. So this doesn't mean this is limited, that people can't have something beyond this.
Because
give you an idea. Right, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, because there's enough, like, for a lot of people, it's automatic, right? Like they
Right.
just don't think about it. They don't have to think
Right.
about it because it's normative. It fits into the mainstream.
Exactly, normative.
So
Right. So then, well, that's what I'm trying to show here, is trying to explain it to break you out of the normative.
yeah,
Quit thinking of everything as this one thing.
yeah, exactly. No, I quite like this because the way it breaks down, like say even like biological assigned sex and desire and relationships and orientation, like these are all different things that are
And
going
you
on.
realize, holy shit, all this actually is going on.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And maybe even more things that we don't even know about.
Yeah, well, because once again, like I said, this isn't to be a one and do all. This is that's like that. What, like I said, that thing I made up on top, the intersex, thing I made. It's just to get you the concept of how intersex can be varied.
Right.
So, yeah, and then that doesn't mean that's how they have to define.
For
So that's
sure.
like why I thought it was good too in that video where they say that they're trans, and they said they're non-binary and they're intersex. I'm like, rock
that's
on,
right.
see,
Yeah,
now
that's
you're
awesome.
getting it, or not them getting it, but I mean that. See what I'm saying?
It's showing like
Yes.
to people watching the news, I guess, that this is a person who has this variety of identifying factors in their life, and
know what, they sound complicated. Yeah, so do I. Someone just said before, oh, you're so complicated. I'm intersex. It's gonna be complicated. Sorry. It offends your binary little world.
It makes me think of like when you're going out for drinks and somebody is a sober person,
right,
and they're like, oh no, I don't drink, I'm sober. And everybody who's drinking feels judged. Like, we don't want to think about our gender and our sex. Like, and you're making me think about my gender and my sex. Why would you make me think of that? Now I have to be mad at you because you made me think of this.
Yeah.
No, yeah. People are weird.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah.
But the good. I'm glad that it's helping you get what I'm saying. And then my next picture, where I put LGBTQI.
Yep.
And by the way, I started doing this LGB, but it used to be GLB.
Right.
The gay was first.
Yeah.
But I started. But I mean, other people also, obviously. But I started putting it the other way.
Okay.
Just as a anti-sexist bullshit. So, I mean, because if you're gonna say, like, let's just say the LGBT movement, because if you're gonna say the LGBT movement, then you need to put trans at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. Since Stonewall, literally, you can't talk about that without mentioning people that are trans.
Yep, that's right.
So I'm just saying, anyways, just to make a point about how I feel about it.
A friend of mine, he suggested, I don't know whether it'll ever grab on, but he thought that it should be termed the gender and sexually diverse community.
That would be great. Yeah, totally agree. That would be great.
Because that's
like one called Quilt Bag, where that means stuff, whatever. But I think I think that yours is more accurate, because then I would fit, right? How could they say I don't belong to that?
Exactly.
Yeah. I literally do fit that.
Yeah. Because it leaves room for everybody who has some diverse gender or sexuality.
Exactly. Right. Because and it also acknowledges that there is a diversity, not just one little label then fixes. Now we all understand. We only have to learn 4 labels. Oh, I learned 5. I learned 6. Oh, there's 20. What, 100? What the shit? Yeah.
No, all you got to worry about is the gender and sexually diverse community, and now anybody who fits in that, they're their own thing.
that would be good.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's still a lot of bigotry. So
yes.
I mean, like I said, I've been told they don't want me to add I don't belong. Like, what the fuck?
That blows me away, honestly, because ever since probably 2016, I've been calling it the LGBTQIA plus community. And even I'm forgetting like the 2 spirits, right? Like,
Well, no, I agree with you. There's even says like two spirits or so whatever. There's all kinds of different communities. So I agree. It never should have been cool, because it used to be called the gay community because the gays didn't want the trans in there.
Right.
And then the bisexuals had to fight to even have acknowledgement among the gays. Because they said they weren't real. Once again, similar bigotry, right? Trans people are not real. Intersex people are not real. Bisexual people are not real. Yeah, what's real is fucking bigotry. That shit is fucking real.
It's everywhere. Yeah, shit.
Unfortunately. So, and that's why when some people say, we're all bigoted. Well, we all can be bigoted. I would prefer that. Can be, not are. Are is a state of being.
Right.
Some people are bigots, where they've chosen that state of being, or are Nazis or whatever. They've chosen that. Yeah. That is not the same as some people can act like Nazis. Some people can fucking be bigots accidentally. Not meaning or what I mean, not thinking about it. Even like I said, some people don't you think that the way I've been treated or whatever, the stories I've told you about being intersex, that I'm being bigoted against being intersex?
Yeah, for sure. You're definitely experiencing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking A. Especially places as I thought were the safe places, and they're telling me to fuck off, or that I don't matter, or they won't even acknowledge me. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Or tell me I'm actually confused. And I'm actually trans or whatever. I'm like,
that one gets me too. Like,
fuck, don't tell me what the fuck I am.
No, in fact, I am not confused. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm not confused. I'm not saying it's been a great way to have my life. I would like I don't feel super it feels like the pride. I don't feel super proud about being intersex. I feel like it's been a fucking terror. I was hated from birth. My religious parents. They never told me I was intersex. I found out by going to the doctor and had my testosterone checked at 20, like I said, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly now, but young 20s. And I told him, what do you mean I have low testosterone? He's like, well, you're lower than most women. And I was like, wow, you didn't have to say it like that, because I was in this heterosexual mindset and I was like offended. What woman?
Right.
I was like, I'm not a man. I mean, I felt horrid, scared, and terrible, and ashamed. And he's like, "You're intersex," and he was like laughing. That's another thing too. I think it's disrespectful. I understand I was an adult, but still, this is the first time I heard of this, and I lived in a non-binary world. Like, society had pushed on me, and now he's telling me, he's laughing. You should have known this. What do you mean you don't know this? He's like,
how would I have known this?
Genitals. You didn't know this? He's like I'm a fool, whatever. He goes, your parents knew. They had to sign a form. So that's the first time as an adult, right? I have been told this.
Right.
But I felt shame, so it's not like I called up my mom. I actually didn't want to tell nobody. I felt ashamed. So I didn't talk about it at all. And like I said, that's why also it's kind of hard to have an intersex community, because we don't want to talk about it, because it's better to fucking hide. So, and look at, when we don't hide, is it like we have any fucking camaraderie? No. Any support, even generally from the queer community? Barely any, or no.
Right.
So, and there's and then regular people, they tell us to flat, we don't want to hear about it, or I say it, they don't care. They just don't even listen. Oh, whatever. Oh, Damien's weird, but I like him. Instead of acknowledging, that, well, I'm weird because I'm intersex and genderqueer. That's why I'm weird to you. Because I'm not normal fitting this thing you want. But that doesn't. But anyways, let's keep reading.
Sure. Yeah. So after that picture, we've got.
First, say what the picture says, because.
So it says everyone needs a home.
Everyone needs home, and then the home actually is the colors of the LGBTQIA, right?
Yeah.
The different things to support the home. And there's a little heart coming out the thing. And then the inside is heart equal, like love is equal.
Yeah.
Like we all should be treated with love. What? Equally. Crazy. I know. I'm a radical, I know. But yeah. So then I explain what home is, because I know persons have not got how I'm conceiving of that. So that's what the next picture is about.
Right.
I made this up. I
Okay,
love
so-
home, and I explain what it is.
And honor, open, motivate, and embrace. Honor, treat others with honor, respecting their dignity. Open, be open, and strive to offer acceptance, understanding, and support of others. Motivate, strive to inspire others to their best and be a guiding light of hope, knowledge, and kindness. Embrace, show friendliness, express a value conscious and not value blindness. Demonstrate a heart of compassion and a love for humanity, wishing for the universal betterment of the world, as well as fully living support for human flourishing.
So what do you think of that?
I like that. No, I like that quite a bit.
So it's explaining actually a behavior. Like I've said before to people, equal to me is a behavior. It's how we treat others.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, if I wanted to think about it, because it's fast, like I told you about thinking fast as an axiologist, if I think of people as dignity beings, that already puts moral weight. Every time I think of them, there's a moral weight to them. There's a responsibility to them. There is a respected dignity they hold.
Yeah.
And so that because when you do that, when you think ethically like that, Cory, and you, like I said, that's why I told you I don't say comrade or something. It's not that I don't like what people say or don't feel camaraderie or solidarity with communists or socialists or anarchists. It's because I feel like I want to, like I told you before, never forget all of us, even the people I hate, are dignity beings.
Yeah.
And that I have a responsibility. That's like the same thing I said, like with the, how you should care about war. You shouldn't want either side to do unethical things.
Yeah, that's right.
Giving excuses to anybody to do unethical things. That's what you should be focusing on. That nobody should get away with doing unethical things.
Yeah,
that's
right. Yeah.
Because and just like people understand too, that is what leads us to anarchism. If we can all learn to do the ethical thing because it's ethical, not because we're told, not because there's a law, but because we realize that other people matter. And if we all treat other people matter, then we couldn't be above them, right? Because everybody matters.
Yeah, that's right.
And if we all matter, then we also realize that we're here alone and we need each other, that we help each other is how we succeed and flourish. And certainly harming each other or not caring is not just bad for humanity, it's bad for humanity in general.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I have no response.
Okay. So then go ahead and the next picture is my basic info, which someone before says that I add too much stuff, but I do understand people. I'm doing all this as activism because what I would really do is just tell everyone as a male and not even bring it up at all. If it was not me trying to be an activist, but I like I said, I see, holy shit, it's needed. Even though I'm not probably the best person, don't focus all the time. I got to do something because it's fucking needed. People don't understand it. They don't care about it. They still treat us bad. It's like, it's fucked up. And how about the people that have committed suicide because they're intersex and have no support? Yeah. I'm sure it's high.
Yeah. But you almost, it's the kind of thing that you might never be able to calculate because so many people it's such a hidden thing, right?
You can hide.
So,
yeah.
So yeah, you've got your basic info, your birthday.
Yeah, you don't need to read all that. It's fine. Anyways, just read the next thing though. Okay. I was just saying that's my stuff. But read the, people can look at the blog if they want to, because we're not going to read every single thing.
Yeah.
So the next thing, this is an art I made, and go ahead and read it.
Says, "Am I willing to make things better? Oh, the tortuous roads we often find ourselves on. What dark passages do we harbor in our angered tongues? How far do we go in a land laid bare in its corrupt, impregnated hate of people and selfishness? And on that downtrodden conception of this sad reality, one question rings in my mind. What am I willing to do to make things better?"
Right. So that's what I think about, as in general, as an anarchist. What things can I do to make things better? And like I told you, I realized I need to be openly ethical. that is something lacking. And
Yeah.
on so many people, they don't grasp ethics, or they make it so goddamn complicated or whatever. Or if they understood it more axiologically, they would grasp things clearer, faster, and more accurate.
Right.
So I realize I have a duty to try to help, promote that, because it's going to be promoting human flourishing. That's like someone asked me, like, well, how are we going to, with your anarchist style, how are we going to get rid of billionaires or whatever? Well, to me, it's education and also grasping, our own self-worth and the dignity of others. We worship wealth in a way that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Even like Donald Trump, he's allowed to them because he's wealthy or elite. He's allowed to break laws, but who cares? He's elite. Fuck it. In a sense. But I'm just saying it because we worship fucking rich people.
Yeah, that's right.
Like even what's his name? All of them really, but again, Musk. I mean, acts like a total dog shit, and everybody still fucking thinks he's great. Why? The fuck? He's an inventor. He's not invented shit. What the fuck are you talking about? He fucking he acquisition things.
Yeah, he patents people the things his employees create.
Okay, so let's grasp reality. Besides where he came from in South Africa, right? And
yeah,
because of course South Africa is known when white people come from there that they're for sure not bigoted. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. And the fact that he his family owned emerald mines and shit, so
he didn't start with in desperation. Let's put it that way. But also his wealth in the sense of mainly was PayPal.
Yeah,
which has nothing to do with inventing anything.
Yeah, which was fully something that he bought part of when it was pretty new. Like it was invented before he even bought it.
But so I'm just saying that this whole mythos that somehow is around him, it just shows our relationship to worshiping fucking billionaires or elites.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course I feel like because they're being listened to, as axiologically, their responsibility to act ethical is actually higher, not lower.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So because what he says, so when he says trans hate, he's hurting a lot more people than I'm able to help by promoting trans, acceptance.
Yeah.
Because my channel's not getting as much as millions as he does. Yeah, it's really fucking sickening. I'm just saying. To me, the moral responsibility and weight on him as a person in a position that's like a leader and where people are listening to him and then talking that bullshit, he's this fucking disgusting scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of problems with Elon Musk. I don't really
not a fan.
Not a fan at all. I think when it comes to it's, I guess sort of off topic, but yeah, if we're gonna talk about how we make the world a better place when it comes to anarchism and eventually expropriating the property that the billionaire class currently owns, we have a long road to hoe when it comes to education of the people, and so that we have to stop, like you say, stop worshiping these guys and then realize that what they own is actually ours.
Well, right, they have been looting. Legally looting, and just like that reminds me, so when legal slavery, did that really make it legal or ethically legal? Right,
yeah, legal and ethical are not always on the same page.
Right, that's I was trying to, well, that's true, but all I was trying to say is that, so to me, that like I told you, I'm not into people that cut their heads off and kill the rich people. No, I just think I told you that their ungotten gains, because they're criminals, should be taken from them. They can get a normal house like everybody else, normal car stuff. Everybody gets normal. Like I told you, to me, you can have seconds after everybody gets a car in the whole world. Everyone gets it, then you can have two. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it just, if we thought that way, I'm not for austerity. I think that we all should have stuff.
Yeah.
And I told you, I'm even okay with, in a sense, us having some sort of an ability to buy or get or have other things, because everybody doesn't like the same stuff. Shouldn't have to. I don't want a world where we can't have normal stuff. I mean, like I said, it's the excess that I told you before. To me, It's not money the problem. To me, it's a fucking excess. And it's how we set up our system. We allow these fuckers to literally rob everybody, and then the government protects them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't have a problem with, you know, people having a nice house. But I have a problem with giant mega mansions taking up many, many acres of land and only one person living in them. I have a problem with.
Well, especially to me, if there's homeless, if there's people that are unhoused, and you have excess house,
then something's wrong.
Our societies. That's what I'm saying. So my goal is actually to try to help a sick society and teach anarchists how to be better ethically. That's I mean, would be my goal, and also more educated. I think that because then we can help also understand the world. If we, like I said before, the world started out anarchists. Our ancestors were animists and anarchists.
Yeah,
and some atheists, I'm sure too. But I'm just saying that they weren't any other religion, and animist is not a religion. So they was like spiritual, non-religious. So nobody would have killed anybody. You know what I'm saying? Religion, if it would have stayed there, no one would fucking hurt anyone.
Yeah.
It's that it went beyond that. I always say, one fucker decided he wanted power, and thus we had capitalism later. But you know, first you had that goes into totemism, where you start. There's a more hierarchical stuff. There's no hierarchical in anarchism.
No.
So in anarchism and anarchists animism and anarchists in a sense are kind of similar in that sense. They don't have we don't have a set doctrine, and I'm not trying to teach a set doctrine. I'm trying to teach how to understand what is good, what is valuable, what is worth, you know, as axiology. Because when you understand that, then it all starts making sense. Then actually we all kind of start making similar choices because we get the value. Like I said, if we understand dignity beings, then because of that, then we obviously, once we capture them, we can't execute them, because that would be against treating people like dignity beings.
Yeah.
So I'm just making for me at least, I'm saying it helps guide. So instead of teaching all these things, when you teach how to understand, and how do you first understand, you start with I don't know. You find out what it is, then you can make an accurate or semi or, you know, accurate, whatever it's speculation, guess of its value. But if you don't know what the fuck it is, you cannot make a value assessment.
No.
Right.
It's like I'm seeing a lot of comments on my YouTube shorts these days, and they're almost always people who are talking like they claim like anarchism could never work, and this and that and the other thing, and anarchism's a bad belief system, and my question is always like, do you know what anarchism is? Because you're just coming on my page, seeing me talk about anarchism for 60 seconds. Do you actually know what it is? And everybody kind of claims they do, but nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. Like they've come up with some definition based on the colloquial use of it.
Right.
So,
or they mistake anarchy as a, you know, claim against no safety,
no rules, no safety. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
no protections.
Like, what? No.
Survival of the strongest. What?
Right.
No, it's literally the opposite of that.
Well, that's why generally when I recently blocked someone that said, because whenever they ask this question, I always know I'm probably going to block this fucker.
Right.
But I sometimes they go, I don't understand how you can have socialism and anarchism. How do those two could even coincide? I'm like, oh my god! And I always think,
so you haven't read anything. We're starting at 0 now.
I'm like, well, literally, that's where it started. Left-wing anarchism is the only thing there was, because it's full liberation. How the fuck are you doing that? So
no.
So let's go back to the thing, but going back to full liberation in a sense, aren't we obligated then to care about intersex people?
Of course,
right?
Yep.
Of course. They can't say all people and then not those people, because
right. Yeah, no, they're within the group of people.
Right. Then you don't have to read, but I have several blogs. Those are all links to several blogs that people can go look at and check them out.
Okay.
And then go ahead and read the writing now.
Okay. I am fine with how others define themselves.
He's speaking, but by the way, people reading, he's reading my words, just so you know.
Right.
Cory's not.
I'm not reading my.
Yeah.
So it says, I am fine with how others define themselves, but this does not mean putting people supporting DSD or disorders of sex development over or instead of intersex can just deny the term intersex used by others. Previously, DSDs were called intersex conditions. This means between the sexes. However, the term felt uncomfortable to some people with who identified themselves as strongly male or strongly female.
Right, but like we talked about, but even if they did feel that doesn't deny that other people could feel intersex.
Yeah, that's right.
Or, like I said, have gender all over the place, no matter what you want to label their intersex body.
Right. And to me, they may say they're strongly only male or female because that is what religion and most in our bigotry society are forced to believe in a fake gender binary. The issue of forcing DSD and denying intersex is similar to the arguments used by TERFs, but the difference in this case can also involve doctors and hospitals using terms they choose as if an intersex human rights movement did not even exist. And then we've got the definition of TERF.
Because in case people that are watching this may not know, go ahead and read it.
So a TERF is an acronym.
Let's read the first part. So
sure. Is an acronym for trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Right.
So do you want me to go into the recorded? First recorded in 2008, the term TERF was originally used to distinguish transgender inclusive feminists from a group of radical feminists and social conservatives who reject the position that trans women are women.
Right. Including trans women in women's spaces and trans rights litigation. That's fine. Just so people understand. Go ahead and read some people with intersex traits.
Okay. Some people with intersex traits use the term intersex, and some prefer other language. In clinical settings, the term disorders of sex development, DSD, has been used since 2006, a shift in language considered controversial since its introduction. In 2016, a study found that 60% of respondents used the term intersex to self-describe their sex characteristics, including people identifying themselves as intersex, describing themselves as having an intersex variation, or in smaller numbers, having an intersex condition. In 2017, found that 80% of support group respondents strongly liked or felt neutral about intersex as a term, while caregivers
right. So
were less supportive.
How much, Cory?
80%.
80%. So 60% one time, and then a little bit later is 80%. So let's go back to this. So I'm just saying, so if you ever hear a bigot, which like I said, as soon as they go, well, no, that's actually DSD, you're most likely talking to a TERF version of intersex.
Right.
We have to invent a new one for that, I guess. Intersex exclusionary feminist? I don't know what the fuck. I mean, but anyways, my point is, it's a similar kind of thing. It's just bigot. As soon as you hear them say that, I already go suspicious. Oh fuck.
Yeah. It's like I say, it's possible that they may not be a bigot, but they most likely are.
Right. And if they try to tell me that, even if they themselves, because I've talked to someone who identified that way, DSD, and said I'm a woman. I just have DSD. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You wanted to classify yourself, but that doesn't make me not intersex or anybody else.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's all I'm trying to say. If they want to personally do that, but most of them are actually just bigots. I'm just trying to teach other people that if you hear someone saying that, here's the stats that show you that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Keep reading.
So the hospital reported that the term disorders of sex development may negatively affect care.
Right. So why would I want someone to let me be labeled that?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I couldn't even have my intersex test in the hospital because it's a Catholic hospital.
Oh, geez.
I had to go to the university of whatever it was, and I can't remember now, but I had to go to a hospital, college hospital, whatever,
Right.
to get it tested because I had to pay my own cash. It was real expensive, but they wouldn't do the test. I was like, this is horseshit. This is medical. I can't even get a fucking test. I'm not talking about gender stuff. I'm talking about being intersex, and I want to get a test to find my chromosomes. And you said I cannot get that test there. I mean, so I'm just saying, people don't grasp. This is like a medical issue too. It's like fucking bullshit. I was like fucking pissed. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's
religious horseshit.
Yeah, that's absurd. The like you say, like they're religious in like their religious beliefs are now imposing onto you and your medical well-being.
You want to do that for yourself? Don't fucking do. All of a sudden, I can't even get a test because you don't want me to identify or claim something as an intersex test,
right?
Like fucking what the fuck?
Yeah, fuck that.
So like, I'm just showing people that also that my own experience that it's been a doctor issue. They don't even want to deal with it. Like, what the fuck? Anyways. So go ahead and read the next thing. Yeah.
There is a human rights movement for intersex people, but not DSD or VSC, which some people, commonly bigots, try to remove intersex's connotation of being beyond the binary male and female. When DSD is pushed over intersex, it is almost always in furtherance of the binary bigotry view. When you see people calling intersex DSD, it is generally bigots. Most intersex people see the term DSD as trying to make intersex just a disorder of male or female, to deny that intersex exists, or say most, if not all, cases of intersex are not somehow actually intersex. It is like bigotry against trans people, saying that they are wrong and they are still the gender of the birth sex assigned to them. Yeah.
Right. So that's my words and stuff. I'm trying to help people grasp how I see it.
Yeah.
And also so that then to me, if you ever even hear that, you already know. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, don't ever let someone try to tell you that bullshit. So like I said, they're an earth or whatever. Exclusionary feminist, whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
But anyways, but I'm saying that as soon as I hear that, I already know. I'm like, oh fuck. I usually think too, I'm gonna be blocking this person soon.
Right.
This ain't gonna be a long conversation. I'm probably gonna get one or two things, and I'm just gonna go, oh hell no.
You know what? Forget it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, and also some of them, by the way, too, they feel that I am somehow some radical, I don't know, like because they feel like I'm inventing, gender or something or sex chrome, whatever. Because in other words, what I'm saying is that I'm breaking their binary, and that they feel very upset that I'm like this, or I say this, or they get really mad and stuff. Some of them, I'm just saying,
they don't like it.
It's fucking crazy. Like, fucking get over it. It's like trans. Get over it.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you don't like it, here's the thing: fucking who gives a fuck? Don't like it, and don't fucking bother me or anyone else.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and read the next thing.
All right. So we got what's the history behind the Intersex Rights Movement by the Intersex Society of North America. Beginning in the late 19th century, medicine became the primary means for dealing with intersex. Before then, the vast majority of people with intersex conditions went unnoticed by legal, religious, or medical establishments, and only a few cases per year came to the attention of authorities. Presumably, other people with so-called abnormal sex anatomies lived average lives, either because their anatomical variance was undetectable or was not considered especially important. When a newborn had a high degree of genital ambiguity, midwives, grandmothers, and other local elders appeared to have assigned the sex. In terms of sexual orientation, all people were expected to then have sexual relations solely with those who had been identified as the opposite sex. In many places, violation of this rule was punishable by violent, sometimes fatal means. However, by the late 1800s, though through gynecological sciences and numerous wartime military medical examinations, doctors gained a much better sense that abnormal sex anatomies were actually quite common. Indeed, late 19th century medical men began reporting dozens of cases a year of hermaphroditism and pseudo-hermaphroditism, because most medical experts were politically conservative and wanted to keep sex borders clearly defined to combat open homosexuality and the rise of feminism.
Right.
Intersex.
Well, I'm just thinking, pause for a second. So, listen, people, don't you get this? It's the conservatives' bullshit that have made this whole binary that we think is normal. This is invented. It was forced. They knew it was wrong,
and they were like, "But we don't want people to be gay, or we don't want women to have equal rights." So,
right. And we certainly don't want people to say that there's the intersex people.
Yeah, well, that fucks up the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So keep reading.
Because of this, intersex caused them notable stress. The conflation of sex, sexual orientation, and gender expression becomes clear in the 1890s use of the term psychic hermaphroditism to refer to gay men, and in the common scientific claim that university education physically masculinized women. Therefore, biomedical specialists devised a system that would label everyone truly male or truly female, regardless of the extent or natural reality of sexual blending. Medical doctors created an arbitrary standard based on gonadal tissue, which persists in most medical texts today. A person with non-standard sex anatomy and ovaries is seen as a female pseudo-hermaphrodite. A person with non-standard sex anatomy and testes is seen as a male pseudo-hermaphrodite. And if a person has ovarian and testicular tissue, they are seen as a true hermaphrodite. Given the technological limitations of the time, Victorian doctors liked this system because they couldn't easily diagnose true hermaphroditism in living people. As a consequence, for the most part, the only true hermaphrodites were dead and dissected people, and the only medical information about intersex came from posthumous examinations. All other people thought to be intersex, including pseudo-hermaphroditic, were labeled truly male or truly female and told to act socially and sexually normative in their assigned gender. However, with improved medical techniques and increased access to healthcare, many more people were being diagnosed with a biological, quote-unquote, true sex that made no sense socially. In the 1910s, as today, women with androgen insensitivity couldn't practically be labeled men just because they had testes. And in a bipolar gender paradigm, there was no simple social category for those diagnosed with true hermaphroditism. So, by the 1920s, experts treating intersex developed a notion of gender, social role, separated from biological sex, and they began to more actively offer surgical corrections to bring the biological sex in line with the assigned gender. So the theoretical...
The problem is, once again, like you said, yeah, but they're assigning gender. They're not asking the child, hey, how do you feel about your gender?
Yeah, they're still picking it for them, right?
And then they're forcing it. Yeah, it's fucking horse shit.
Yeah.
I think that we should be assigning gender at birth? Fuck no.
No.
That's my opinion as an intersex person. Fuck no.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they assigned me wrong. So fuck no, that for damn sure. And then it's worse than that. They knew stuff and didn't even tell me.
Right.
And
then
as an adult at 40 something, because I stopped being shamed or out about being intersex, I told her that I remember the doctor told me that you had to know. And she goes, oh, I knew. I was like, that even really pissed me off more.
Right. Yeah. Like with no shame at all, eh?
Like, no shame. I'm 40 now. I just fucking found out from you that you knew I was intersex my entire life.
Yeah.
And when I was telling you, I felt weird. I feel like, I don't fit in as a man and stuff. You were like, oh, well, people just feel different. You didn't tell me, well, you are intersex. Maybe you're genderqueer, or maybe you're non-binary, or, no, you never fucking helped me. Never, nothing. anyways,
No understanding at all, really.
just making a point. And to me, I see it as all religion's fault, because it was her religion that felt that I was wrong from birth.
Yeah.
It's like fucking, like, literally, I did nothing. I didn't. It's not even like I transitioned or made a choice. I just was being me.
Yeah.
And that just was not okay.
Yeah.
Fucked up, man. Anyways, let's keep reading.
So the theoretical approaches and surgical techniques evolved bit by bit, though motivation remained the same, keeping the sex categories distinct and numbering only 2. It should be noted that in the last half of the 19th century, a small percentage of patients with intersex had started to ask for, and some surgeons had started to offer, surgical reconstruction of large clitorises, small vaginas, and hypospatic penises. With the exception of the rare clitorectomy performed on a child because she had a large clitoris, most of the genital surgeries performed for cosmetic reasons in the 19th century were performed on adults at their request.
Right. So just so people know, some penises, in a sense, like I said, could be non-existent or just a little tiny, less than an inch. And then there could be clitorises that are 6 inches long.
Right.
I'm just making a point that that's why I said to the bigots, and which one's a male and which is a female? One looks almost like the penis looks more like a clit. It's just like a little bit. And then the clit looks like a penis.
Right.
Almost. I mean, not exactly, but more of what you would think a penis would look like.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how can you then say that woman, because her clitoris is 6 inches long, is now somehow not, first off, not intersex? Like, that always pisses me off.
Right.
Like, fuck that already. But that also has to only be a woman or only be a man. Literally, a vagina and a 6-inch clit. You consider that to be normal. I'm just saying, but my point is, to still reserve respect. Of course. And like I said, and certainly, I told you, to not say that you're an intersex person. Now, like I said, if that person wants to identify as only male, strongly, or only female, or trans, non-binary, or whatever that person decides, like I said, I think it is upon us to then respect that that's what that person told us.
Yeah.
So, and that's all I was saying too, is that I really hate when I hear bigots. Oh, that because there's a vagina, that has to be, or because there's testicles, that has to be a man, or whatever,
Right.
Or like I said, what do they say when there's nothing? Well, I guess they just make some shit up.
It makes me think of, like, I mean, on a slightly more ridiculous level, it's the transvestigators. Like, they'll go along and they'll try and find pictures of celebrities or what have you, and then they'll be like, she's actually a man, or she's actually they'll, like, because there's some characteristic that they assign arbitrarily with masculinity, they're like, that's a man. Well, no, not necessarily. Like, there's all kinds, like, it's just like nonsense.
Right. And so that's why I think that learning all this, though, and understanding, I think, helps, to combat against that. Or if someone says that, you can say, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And educate them. You keep reading.
Okay, so both patients and surgeons generally avoided elective surgery for reasons of safety. There's also reason to believe that most people with intersex were socially healthy without surgery. They did not disproportionately live as hermits or attempt suicide. Psychologist John Money studied adults with intersex and found, before the era of standard cosmetic surgical intervention for intersex, that they enjoyed a lower rate of psychopathology than the general population.
In other words, they were mentally healthier.
Right.
Before people forced the binary. Oh, I know, because the binary is toxic as fuck, especially to someone who's an intersex and doesn't feel fucking binary.
Yeah. Nevertheless, like many other realms of biology, sexuality, and psychology, intersex increasingly became the purview of medicine. For a small number of people with intersex, namely those at risk for gonadal cancers and salt wasting, the medicalization of intersex probably improved their health, sometimes even saving their lives. Nevertheless, most of the treatment of intersex was motivated not by metabolic health concerns, but by psychosocial concerns. As in the 1890s, by the 1950s, Intersex was viewed primarily as a psychosocial problem that mixed sex categories in socially uncomfortable ways.
Yeah, we already talked a little bit about that, right?
Yeah.
Cory's like, yeah, this pretty much mimics like right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So in the 1950s, Johns Hopkins University created a team and became the first medical center to offer an organized multidisciplinary approach to intersex, one that sought to essentially eliminate intersex in early childhood. The approach developed there came to be known as the optimum gender of rearing model. The basic idea. Yeah, that's pretty
They
raw.
want to eliminate, like once again, like I said, they want to eliminate intersex.
Yeah, that's right. They're like
I told you too, my parents had my genitals supposedly fixed, eliminated intersex, and then still always treated me as I was intersex.
Right, yeah.
And not even tell me. So I mean, you literally supposedly fixed me, and then still you knew that was just cosmetic. I'm actually still who I am.
Yeah.
And so then you still hated me because of who I am. But it's just fucked up. Yeah.
For sure. The basic idea was that each child's potential for a normal gender identity should be maximized by making each child's body, upbringing, and mind align as much as possible. Because of the belief that it was harder to surgically engineer a boy than a girl, Jesus fucking Christ, most children with intersex were made as feminine as possible, utilizing surgery, endocrinology, and psychology. A quote-unquote successful patient was one judged to be stable and quote-unquote normal, i.e. heterosexual, in the assigned gender. In an era of vice squads raiding gay bars, it is not surprising that homosexuality appeared to be most of these professionals an untenable identity. Though the early texts from this team advocated truth-telling and consistent psychological support, in practice, many patients were deceived and given minimal psychological support. As in most of medicine, doctors made the decisions for patients. There was little investment in the ideas of informed consent or of studying outcomes in a systematic way. It wasn't until the 1960s that medical professionals began aggressively looking for cases of intersex. Psychologist John Money provided theoretical support for the Johns Hopkins model, arguing that gender identity was largely mutable early in life, that nurture was more important than nature. His chief support for this claim came from a famous case known as John/Joan. The person at the center, David Reimer, was born an identical twin, not intersex, boy in 1965. While performing a circumcision, a doctor accidentally burnt off 8-month-old David's penis. David's parents consulted with the team at Hopkins, and Money recommended they change the sex and gender of their child and raise David as a girl. For decades, Money erroneously touted a successful outcome because the child reportedly had become a normal, female-identified heterosexual girl. The truth was that David had never felt fully female. Indeed, when his parents told him the truth about what happened, he immediately reassumed the gender role of a man. It is unknown why Money, who in 1953 had found a relatively low rate of psychopathology among adults with intersex, thought people with intersex needed to have their sexes and genders surgically and socially engineered to be psychologically healthy. It is better understood why people did not question Money's controversial theory of nurture over nature approach. Surgeons and psychologists liked the theory because it signified that they were providing necessary, good care to quote-unquote abnormal children. Feminists liked the theory because they preferred the idea that gender, and therefore gender norms, were socially constructed and malleable. Parents probably liked it because they could be reassured that their queer-bodied children would grow up to be straight-acting adults. But some people didn't like this system. People who, like David Reimer, felt mistreated at best and medically assaulted at worst by their medical treatment. Nevertheless, most stayed silent, believing they were alone in their experiences. That changed in 1993 when feminist biologist Anne Fausto Sterling published articles in The Sciences and the New York Times exposing the basic fact that intersex exists. In response, Cheryl Chase wrote a letter to The Sciences announcing the founding of the Intersex Society of North America. She founded the group because of her own attempts to recover her history of sex reassignment in infancy and medically induced shame, and because of the disinterest of most of her former care providers in what had happened to her. Soon, Chase had brought together dozens of people with intersex. Though ISNA began as a support group, it quickly turned into an advocacy group because its members realized that they had suffered from similar problems. Like many of the early ISNA members, Chase drew on her political consciousness as a lesbian to recognize the degree to which intersex had necessarily socially and medically pathologized. Had been socially and medically pathologized. With the successes of the women's health movement and the queer rights movements as a backdrop, people with intersex began agitating for openness and reform. Early on, very few medical professions recognized ISNA's critiques as legitimate. Many responded that the standard of care was necessary, successful, and justified, even going so far as to actively defend lying to patients about their medical histories.
Is that not fucked?
Yeah. No, that's bizarre stuff.
You didn't know all that?
No, I did not. I mean, I knew that parents and doctors were lying to kids for a long time, but I didn't realize there was a group that was out there being like, you shouldn't do this. And doctors were like, we're doing what's best.
Yeah.
Even though there's all these people who were like, no, you did this to me and it was not for the best. It didn't work out for the best.
Yeah, because I've argued and had to block people that try to tell me that doing that is healthy and that I'm preaching stuff that's going to cause mental illness and all this horse shit.
Doctors lying to children about who they are is not the
vile,
best option.
right?
It's never going to be the right choice.
It's vile.
Yeah.
And it's not respecting that person, that child is a dignity being.
Yeah. Yeah. Bizarre.
But yeah, so you see there's a lot of issues that people don't think about with intersex.
For sure.
I guess the trans people have a lot of issues with doctors treating them like shit also, or people that are non-binary, or people even homosexual.
Right. Yeah. It's actually like a problem with the medical establishment. Like they have much of the studies were on young white people, mostly men, like so like a lot of the research, it doesn't really apply to people with different genders or different cultural backgrounds or different, often different weights. Like it's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess those at the top simply tried to ignore ISNA. As the leader of the newly formed Intersex Rights Movement, Chase moved rapidly, sometimes able to engage in dialogue and having group protests when doctors would not listen. With her professional background in computer science, she was particularly adept at using the tools of the internet to spread ISNA's message. ISNA also supported the inquiries of researchers like Suzanne Kessler and Fausto Sterling and Alice Drager, and the organization engaged in media outreach as much as possible. By about 2001, it had become clear to all that the intersex rights movement was not going away. The claims of activists were illustrated in story after story of problematic intersex treatment, as well as in research that strongly suggested gender identity is not simply a matter of nurture. The fact that medical professionals were unable to produce an intersex patient satisfied with his or her childhood treatment negated the claims of the advocacy groups solely represented the experiences of the disgruntled minority. Finally, many medical professionals began to respond to calls for outcome data, research, full disclosure of information, and revision of homophobic and sexist protocols. The intersex rights movement undoubtedly was helped in its success by surrounding trends in favor of LGBT rights, which is lesbian, bi, gay, and transgender rights, patients' rights, and children's rights. Since 1993, due to increased public education, tens of millions of people have learned about intersex. Thanks to the internet, thousands of people with intersex have met others like them. in spite of having been told by their doctors they would never be able to do that. Their conditions were supposedly so rare. ISNA members have gone from picket lines to having a seat at the table in medical conferences. We give grand-round presentations, help with medical school curricular development, and receive emails from physicians asking for our advice on how to handle intersex cases. Our website is recognized as the definitive source of all things intersex, and for being a life-saving porthole for thousands of people desperate for answers and the directions to, quote-unquote, their tribe. We have convinced hospitals around the world to examine their practices, to find out what has happened to former patients, and be accountable for the sometimes poor effects of good intentions. Over a decade into the work of ISNA, medical professionals are less inclined to lie to patients and parents in intersex cases, are less likely to make openly homophobic or sexist remarks, and are more likely to admit uncertainty about the right course of action. A number of teams are engaged in active outcomes research, though opinions still differ about what outcomes should be sought. Some think stable gender identity and heterosexuality are the objective. Others suggest it should be
Hold on a second. Why would that be?
Yeah, it's not because that's just the way that the normative imposition, right? Like it's not.
Once again, how is that not harm?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Others suggest it should be a lack of depression. What type of care an individual or family will receive now varies dramatically. What happens to a child with intersex today appears to depend not only on where she or he is born, but who happens to be on call.
She, he, or they.
Yeah, she, he, or they.
Because once again, there are non-binary people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even today, the goal of many leading teams treating intersex is still to make intersex disappear. Pediatric endocrinologist Maria New recommends dexamethasone to women who may be carrying an XX child with CAH. These treatments do not alleviate CAH, it only makes the child's clitoris appear smaller, and clinicians hope makes the child less likely to grow up lesbian.
Isn't that fucked up?
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
But you see how could also someone say that intersex issues are not an LGBT issue?
For sure, yeah. No, it's very related, right?
My point is, how could you say the intersex and trans are not related when some intersex people are trans?
Yeah.
How can you say that a lesbian and gay when some intersex people are lesbian and gay or bi?
Yeah.
I mean, how can it not be related? And certainly, like you said, they're treated there, and it's crossed over because of homophobia against lesbians, gays, or trans people. Intersex people are also be treated, with bigotry, especially because, as you know, they look at us as being the missing link that proves them wrong.
Right.
So they hate us.
Yeah. Can't have that, right?
Yeah, literally, that proves it's not a binary. And then, holy fuck, gotta get rid of that.
In fact, abortion is routinely offered to women who are likely pregnant with child with intersex conditions, including Klinefelter syndrome.
Right.
Jesus. Many surgeons maintain the paternalistic attitude that they should remove healthy testes from babies with AIS to spare them the trauma later, thereby denying these girls the opportunity to have a natural puberty and to come to know themselves in a sexual way free from surgical scars. Many endocrinologists press unnecessary, sometimes devastating, normalizing hormone treatments on patients who are otherwise healthy. Finally, doctors continue constructing vaginas in infants and young children, despite arguments by many medical professionals that early vaginoplasties fail too often and are unnecessary to begin with. By contrast, as in the women's rights movement, the civil rights movement, and the LGBT rights movement, the goal of intersex advocacy groups is to have people understand intersex conditions as human rights issues. ISNA maintains as its fundamental principle the principle also fundamental to the women's health movement and the LGBT rights movement. That one's genitals are primarily for one's own use, not for the comfort of others. Yep.
So what do you think of that?
That was that's an interesting, like, and a little bit horrific kind of history of like intersex struggle. Like it's yeah. It seems like in general, if people haven't fit into a box that they can be put in, then they get, then they're forced to have surgeries before they can consent. They're forced into positions that like leaves them vulnerable and like, yeah. No, it's not good. It's good that there's a group that is fighting for intersex people, but
yeah, well, I think that group actually stopped doing stuff now because they had a bunch of probably hate stuff,
Yeah, probably.
The lovely MAGAs in the United States.
Yeah,
fucking bigot as fuck. Anyways, but like I said, that's why it's hard for me because there isn't like a lot of support for intersex for me not to speak out as an intersex person and not address it. And I don't like addressing it because it always makes me feel like crying and stuff because it's not a really happy situation.
No way.
Not for me or for other intersex people.
Yeah. Just a lack of support and a lack of understanding and a lack of like even humanity like that's given to people.
Yeah. All right. So, but don't you think that it's explaining all this, it helps people if they did want to understand?
I think so. I think that even, I mean, that's just like one little section, right? Like there's lots of information around, but I think even just reading that could lead some people to be less or to have more understanding.
Right.
Which can help.
Yeah. So go ahead and read about intersex. This is
okay. So intersex. Intersex people are individuals born with any of several sex characteristics, including chromosome patterns, gonads, or genitals that, according to the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, do not fit typical binary notions of male or female bodies. Sex assignment at birth usually aligns with a child's anatomical sex and phenotype. The number of births with ambiguous genitals is in the range of 1 in 4,500 to 1 in 2,000. So 0.02% to 0.05%. Other conditions involve atypical chromosomes, gonads, or hormones. Some persons may be assigned and raised as a boy or girl, but then identify with another gender later in life, while most continue to identify with their assigned sex. The number of births where the baby is intersex has been reportedly different depending on who reports and which definition of intersex is used. Anne Fausto Sterling and her book co-authors suggest that the prevalence of non-dimorphic sexual development might be as high as 1.7%. A study published by Leonard Sachs reports that this figure includes conditions such as late-onset congenital adrenal hyperplasia and XXY Klinefelter syndrome, which most clinicians do not recognize as intersex. Sachs states, if the term intersex is to retain any meaning, the term should be restricted to those conditions in which chromosomal sex is inconsistent with phenotypic sex, or in which...
But to me, intersex, as we talked about at the beginning, right, you read, can actually be any kind of a thing. So, like I said, I don't like... In other words, you could look like no problem on the outside, but something be on the inside. So I do like, just same thing, in a sense. I don't think that, like I told you before, I don't feel like an intersex person has to prove they're intersex. And I also think that these doctors deciding what is and isn't, especially when
that doesn't seem...
when they once again, they're just violating people's rights when they literally have, 2 X's and a Y or whatever, or 3 X's or just 1 X or sometimes a 0 or all kinds of other things. I don't like, once again, doctors should not be assigning fucking the shit that, genders to people.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So I mean that's like a human rights issue is the issue. But go ahead and keep reading.
Sure. Or in the type in which the phenotype is not classifiable as either male or female, stating the prevalence of intersex is about 0.018%. This means that for every 5,500 babies born, one either has sex chromosomes that do not match their appearance, or the appearance is so ambiguous that it is not clear whether the baby is male or female. Terms used to describe intersex people are contested and change over time and place. Intersex people were previously referred to as hermaphrodites or congenital eunuchs. In the 19th and 20th centuries, some medical experts devised some nomenclature in an attempt to classify the characteristics that they had observed. The first attempt was to create a taxonomic classification system of intersex conditions. Intersex people were categorized as either having true hermaphroditism, female pseudo-hermaphroditism, or male pseudo-hermaphroditism. These terms are no longer used, and terms including the word hermaphrodite are considered to be misleading, stigmatizing, and scientifically specious in reference to humans. In biology, the term hermaphrodite is used to describe an organism that can produce both male and female gametes. Some people with intersex traits use the term intersex, and some prefer other language. In clinical settings, the term disorders of sex development, DSD, has been used since 2006, a shift in language considered controversial since its introduction. Intersex people face stigmatization and discrimination from birth, or following the discovery of intersex traits at stages of development, such as puberty. Intersex people may face infanticide, abandonment, and stigmatization from their families. Globally, some intersex infants and children, such as those with ambiguous outer genitalia, are surgically or hormonally altered to create more socially acceptable sex characteristics. This is considered controversial, with no firm evidence of favorable outcomes. Such treatments may involve sterilization. Adults, including elite female athletes, have also been subjects of such treatment. Increasingly, these issues are considered human rights abuses, with statements from international and national human rights and ethics institutions. Intersex organizations have also issued statements about human rights violations, including the 2013 Malta Declaration of the Third International Intersex Forum. In 2011, Christiane Volling became the first intersex person to have successfully sued for damages in a case brought for non-consensual surgical intervention. In April 2015, Malta became the first country to allow non-consensual medical interventions to modify sex anatomy, including that of intersex people.
Right, they became the first to outlaw it.
Oh yeah, the first to outlaw.
Right.
Yeah.
So just think, nobody else is doing this.
Yeah.
How can this even be?
How is this legal in the United States or Canada or
right? Land of the free, home of the brave. What the fuck? And every citizen has a right. Bullshit. If non-consensual medical, that's those two words shouldn't even go together. Non-consensual and medical, right? Because isn't the Hippocratic oath, do no harm? So
right?
How you do both non-consensual and medical? No. To me, that's just right there, the absolute violation. Oh, hell no. You can't put those two words together.
No.
Anyway.
So there is no clear consensus definition of intersex and no clear delineation of which specific conditions qualify an individual as intersex. The World Health Organization's International Classification of Diseases, the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and many medical journals classify intersex traits or conditions among disorders of sex development, DSD. In 1917, Richard Goldschmidt created the term intersexuality to refer to a variety of physical sex ambiguities. However, According to the Sage Encyclopedia of LGBTQ Studies, it was not until Anne Fausto Sterling published her article, The Five Sexes, Why Male and Female Are Not Enough, in 1993, that the term reached popularity. Some intersex organizations reference intersex people when intersex variations or traits, while others use more medicalized language, such as people with intersex conditions, or people with intersex conditions or DSDs, differences of sex development.
Right, and I don't prefer the ones that they're saying that I prefer that the doctors use, or medical people, whatever. I prefer the other ones,
Right.
Intersex people, or intersex traits or whatever. Not.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of treating people like disorders.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So,
Or
yeah.
it's like treating trans as a disorder. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not a fucking disorder.
No, it's just people are just people, and they have different things that they feel, and
Yeah.
that's not a disorder necessarily. Like,
Yeah, right. That's it doesn't need psychopathologized. There's nothing fucking wrong with them.
yeah,
Like I never felt. That's why I said I'm not trans. I never felt anything wrong with my body. I just felt like how I wanted to present myself was kind of mixed,
right.
and that was not okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that also starts with just something that is okay or it isn't okay, right? You get the bigotry. I mean,
Right.
What do you mean what's okay? This is okay for me. What do you mean what's okay?
Yeah, that's right. In what way is it not okay? Like, I'm not imposing on anyone else. I'm not doing anything to hurt anybody. Like,
right? Yeah, it's literally crazy. But it society. That's what people don't understand. This binary that's normalized is horseshit, but it's been normalized. That doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Yeah. And children born with variations of sex anatomy. In May 2016, Interact published a statement recognizing increasing general understanding and acceptance of the term intersex. Australian sociological research on 272 people born with atypical sex characteristics, published in 2016, found that 60% of respondents used the term intersex to self-describe their sex characteristics, including people identifying themselves as intersex, describing themselves as having an intersex variation, or in smaller numbers, having an intersex condition.
Right. So everybody agrees with Damien, and Cory just says it makes sense, is we don't like to be considered a condition.
Right. Yeah, no kidding. Huh. Respondents also commonly use diagnostic labels and referred to their sex chromosomes with word choices depending on audience. Research on 202 respondents in the Lurie Children's Hospital, Chicago, and the AIS-DSD support group, now known as the Interconnect support group, published in 2017, found that 80% of support group respondents strongly liked, or felt neutral about intersex as a term, while caregivers were less supportive. The hospital reported that the use of the term disorders of sex development may negatively affect care. Another study by a group of children's hospitals in the United States found that 53% of 133 parent and adolescent participants recruited at 5 clinics did not like the term intersex. Participants who were members of the support groups were more likely to dislike the term. A DSD Life study in 2020 found that 43% of 179 participants thought the term intersex was bad, 20% felt neutral about the term, while the rest thought the term was good. Weird. Historically, the term hermaphrodite was used in law to
just explaining that even the people that have these sort of, they're using these terms.
There's still a significant percentage of people that are like, yeah, this is still fine. Intersex works.
That's what goes back to why as soon as I hear them say and try to push that, I know bigot and earth or whatever I say, I know, because even the people that use that as still think intersex is okay. So
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? If they
Yeah.
if they start to change it, you know that it's probably just a bigot. Because even those people that feel they are only strongly male or strongly female and they're DSD, they still think intersex is okay. So see what I'm saying? Nah. That's all. I was just trying to make a point that I'm not just guessing or my own personal, opinion or experience. It could be different than others. That literally they're saying that that's what's going on.
Yeah. Historically, the term hermaphrodite was used in law to refer to people whose sex was in doubt. 12th century Decretum Gratiani states that whether a hermaphrodite may witness a testament depends on which sex prevails. Hermaphroditus an ad testamentum. Yeah, it's in Latin, it looks like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some language I don't know.
Well, on this show, although we teach a lot of facts and things that are true, and we try to say words correct, neither me or Cory is super great at all kinds of
that's right.
hard words. I'm not very good at English words sometimes, let alone other countries' words. I mean, yeah,
Right.
I'm like, yeah. Like I said,
What are you gonna do?
I was more a kid that hung out, and did, I was a thug. I did crime or whatever. I wasn't all big into education. I've learned a lot, but it was also because first I started looking, like, say, religion stuff. I started looking at religion because I just wanted to know. I thought after in college I turned atheist once I learned some stuff.
Right.
Then I didn't know that atheists were right. And so I wanted to go look. I wanted to say, well, what do we know about religion? So that's why I started my journey of going to look for myself.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
But the same thing with my gender. I didn't really, after I was told I was intersex, I didn't really think about it for years. But then when I went to college and thinking about, like, human rights, and plus, like I said, I started changing my political. I started becoming, like, a little more towards anarchism.
Right.
And so and then, of course, I'm accepting myself, right? Because then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm also a dignity being, right? Shouldn't be no difference.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have somehow some second class citizenship because I'm not a male or female the way it's supposed to be. Like,
right.
Who made the law that it's supposed to be anything?
Exactly.
If we're obviously being born, then it's supposed to be we're also here.
Yeah, that's right. Like, that's the thing that I don't get about the religious perspective against it, right? Like, so, like, if you believe in God and that God creates all the things,
and God does perfect, right?
And God is perfect and doesn't make mistakes. So what the fuck are you talking about? How are you judging people based on being different than you? Like, come on. Nonsense.
It is nonsense. But like I said, in the thing, there's a lot of it's homophobia too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're worried about, people being what they think is lesbian or gay or whatever, because just like I read a study that people, like, 'cause I have a gender difference. Is also why people assume immediately if I have a gender difference that I'm bi or gay, because they think those things go together.
Right.
And that's what I was just saying. So, and I understand. Yeah, a lot of people think that. Like, oh, I can tell a gaydar, or I can tell someone, because they act feminine in a way that's non-masculine. Oh, see, I found them, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not accurate, really, always, because people have all over the place. Anyways, but so that's the same thing as I feel with my gender. It's not something that people are used to, but also my sexuality, my gender feels, genderqueer, male and female, but I'm only attracted to cis females.
Right.
And so it's not like I choice. That's just like anybody else. That's just the way it is. And so it's not some bigotry against trans or intersex. And I had sex with an intersex woman, and I realized I couldn't get off, and I realized this is not for me. And I was trying to trying to be nice, and I realized, okay, well, I didn't know. How do you? I didn't know, and then I realized, okay, because I thought, not maybe I'll like that. I don't know, because I thought I'm also, not exactly normal as a male, so I thought, maybe I'll. So, but anyways, not to make a long story about it, I'm just making a comment that, like everybody else, they have a sexuality, and so do I. Anyway, so I read a study that said that 80% of people that have a gender variance are also probably bi or gay. So
okay.
So it goes. That's why most people.
So it does to some degree go together, but
correct, right? That's all I was to say. That, but it doesn't always.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm this kind of weirdo where I know my gender is different, but my sexuality is not gender different than the norm. Of what people think. I should do or whatever. So they think, and that really fucks them up because they think, but you act heterosexual, but you don't act heterosexual.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm sorry it bothers you. Fuck off.
Yeah, that's right. So once again, trying to put a person into a box, and the box doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So.
And like you said, isn't it just easier? It's like, oh, that's cool. I mean, like, why does it even like bother people? Like, let's say like I don't like sports. I hate them actually. It's even hear it turn on. Just like
we did a whole show about why sports are bad.
Yeah, right. Like, exactly. So I'm just making a comment. I don't like them, right? So exactly, I did a whole show. Because I really want to at least get my opinion out the why I don't like it. But anyway, so I also don't like it, just a preference. But it just I hear that just like ugh. But anyways, my point is that, but I do believe, just like as an anarchist though, cool.
Yeah, some people like sports.
Like would I be against people doing sports? And if they want to do it, if they want to do it, that's it. You just are they dignity beings? Do they own themselves? Of course they can do it.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's like the same thing like laws, like you said. Like an anarchist. I'm against probably most of the laws people want to make, but not every law. I mean, like I said, if you tell me the law is nobody could rape children, I'm down for that law.
That's a good law.
All right, but when you tell me like trans people can't be trans people and they can't, they have to, go to the bathroom that it was signed at birth, and fuck no.
A lot of my problems with the law involve private property and who owns what and why they're supposedly allowed to own that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of laws I fucking like a law that people like they're starving can't steal food. Yeah. I personally would not arrest those people. I think okay.
Nope. No, exactly.
But first off, to me, actually, I think that those people shouldn't even be in that dire circumstance. We should already be helping them. It's fucking disgusting as fuck. Yeah. So. Yeah, and that's also why I've gone down to soup kitchen kind of thing and helped out and gave stuff and gave money and gave food or whatever or helped, and also another thing too, I've also stayed there. So I think that's another thing people think and ate their little meal they got. Like I got a half a burrito from Food Not Bombs. That's what they were giving right there out to these people. But I hung out and I talked to them because I feel like sometimes people think that the only thing you need to do is give food and then they're good. But truly, it's like don't most people need like friends and family or loved ones and of course
conversation and connection.
So in dignity to treat another person like they matter enough that you listen to them and converse with them. It makes people like just like you and me talking, right? For a second, we lose the world and we become in this space, right?
Yeah.
And that's what that's so important. We are so emotionally connected beings. It's so important. So to me, like I said, I realize that matters too, how we treat them as equals. So anyway, my guys, also I told you before, I believed in direct action. I did it for 15 years. So
right.
But because I believe it is an issue. We should fucking do something about this.
Yeah.
And it bothers me so much, I fucking went and did something about it. But I feel like, in a sense, a lot of people feel that way. Just like but the problem is, like in our capitalist society, they only do it in natural disasters. Like somehow only then can we give a fuck. Yeah.
Like we say, like when the structures of society that enforce the hierarchy and the power dynamics on us fall away, like in natural disasters, that's when our true nature comes out, and that's when people help each other, and that's when they show up and care.
Goes, oh, are you trans? Or are you intersex?
Right.
Are you homosexual?
Nobody worries about it.
Are you religious or atheist? Nobody fucking says shit like that, or they shouldn't. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You go, come on the boat. Here's a rope.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they don't get that's anarchism. That is the true. We're trying to say to get to a society like that. And like I said, I'm not against laws, just laws, which absolutely put the dignity of the person first. Never forgetting who the person is, a dignity being. That we have the obligation. Because they say, well, they're not ethical, but aren't we?
Well, and they may not have acted in an ethical way, but you do have to wonder and question and analyze why they behaved in an unethical way. And so that you can come to real solutions.
And my point was still, I told you, to me in general, once you have rendered them incapacitated, anything after that point that harms them is your fucking ethical fault.
Right. Yeah. That's
to me. So that's why I said I cannot kill someone. If I've now got control of you and removed your weapon or somehow confined you.
Yeah, and you cannot harm me. Yeah.
That's it. Right. I can't then go, well, now that I have you, I'm going to fucking stab you to death.
Yeah.
No, that's
which
my
is
murder.
Which is the reason that like the torture and murder of prisoners of war is supposed to be an international crime, right? Like that's
right.
That's the reasoning for behind that.
Right. And so, I'm just saying though, that's also my ethic. That's my axiological ethic of how I see it.
Many states don't follow that law, but that's why it's there.
Well, but I'm just saying. So, if laws started with this ethical thing that the person matters, yeah, and then we're all a group of people, in a sense. So, just like that would be different because that's in a sense anarchism. Because anarchism also does all this bad stuff about it. It's removing this hierarchical structure. We're all getting a say. We all get a stuff. The good of humanity is actually poisoned because of hierarchy. Yep. Because then 100%. Someone wants to be above people. But it's no different to me. The thing about being intersex, somehow being intersex is lower than a regular person.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
Yeah. No.
So that's not ethical.
No. Yeah, the placement of one group below or above others is just wrong.
Yeah, I'm anti-hierarchy. That's why, my thinking ends up being anarchism. I didn't try to go, I want to be an anarchist. I never said that. I just realized, because like I told you, really what honed up me more into my activism and stuff really was learning axiology. Because I was becoming an atheist. Then we took one class on morals, and it was not a very good class. And they also said in there something that really shocked me. They said, go ahead and choose the morals you like. And I was like, isn't there a way of knowing which groups or things are better than other things? They're like, oh, that sounds like meta ethics. And I was like, really? Well, why aren't we doing meta ethics then? And they're like, oh, well, that's what philosophers do. And I'm like, so I went and looked in, what the fuck is meta ethics? And I started looking at towards morality, and then I'm like, no, meta ethics isn't exactly. It's actually axiology because it's value that gives what meta ethics is looking at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, now we're getting somewhere. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Because the point is, I really wanted to know the truth. Just like I'm trying to spread the information, about intersex and about trans and about things. These are truths in about anarchism. I'm trying to educate and like the one we read in that said in the 1900s over the anarchist said, no dogma, just do the plain truth. That's what I believe in. We should be given the plain truth. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah. So that's the goal. And like I said, I also like to try to, make it understandable. So I try to explain a lot because I feel like nobody asks questions that I'm answering, but they do appreciate the answers that I'm answering.
Right.
Or questions I'm answering.
Well, a lot of times I think people don't know what questions to ask, right?
Right.
So until they hear some level of information, they don't even know where to start. So
Right,
when
and
we're
so-
talking about intersex people and some of the history of what they've had to deal with, like I think everybody knows the term hermaphrodite, and most people know that that's not the correct term anymore. But they may not know why. They may not know what changed or where it even came from, what the cause of it was. So it is good to have the background and like a little bit more information.
Right. Especially, like I said, because there's bigots out there, so even more is important to understand.
Yeah.
To be against that. So you can read a little more.
Sure. So similarly, the 17th century English jurist and judge Edward Coke, or Lord Coke, wrote in his Institutes of Laws of the Laws of England on laws of succession, stating every heir is either a male, a female, or an hermaphrodite. That is both male and female. And a hermaphrodite, which is also called androgynous, shall be heir either as male or female, according to that kind of sex which doth prevail. During the Victorian era, medical authors attempted to ascertain whether or not humans could be hermaphrodites, adopting a precise biological definition for the term and making distinctions between male pseudo-hermaphrodite, female pseudo-hermaphrodite, and especially true hermaphrodite. These terms, which reflected histology, microscopic appearance of the gonads, are no longer used. Until the mid-20th century, hermaphrodite was used synonymously with intersex. Medical terminology shifted in the early 21st century, not only due to concerns about language, but also a shift in understandings based on genetics. The term hermaphrodite is also controversial as it implies the existence of someone fully male and fully female. This is a fantasy by certain people who seek hermaphrodite sex partners. In the intersex movement, such people are called wannafucks. It's interesting. As such, the term hermaphrodite is often seen as degrading and offensive. Yes, of course. Although many intersex activists use it as a direct form of self-empowerment and critique, such as the ISNA's first newsletter, Hermaphrodites with Attitude.
Right, and that goes back to even like I said, it's super easy how to deal with it. People are allowed to define themselves.
Yep, that's right. I mean, I relate it to like I don't use words about people that they don't want me to use. Like even using
I agree.
Even using the word hermaphrodite, I know we're reading.
Yeah, I wouldn't use that word hermaphrodite, but if someone told me that's how they define, then I would use it for them.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even be reading it. Maybe should be, using a kind of a synonym or something equivalent.
No, I just me personally. I think that right now what we're doing is education. The fact that you're not intersex doesn't mean you can't educate. I think that's absolutely bullshit. Or you couldn't. This. Are you saying that there's no way that you could support trans people if there's bigots? No way. You wouldn't know what to say. You have no right to say anything.
I have the.
If the people are picking on me of being intersex, do you have nothing to say?
But I mean, just in the word hermaphrodite, maybe the word. But I could still definitely have things to say.
All I'm saying is right now, yes, I would agree. If you're just randomly using the word, that's probably not a good thing.
Right.
But right now
it is
so
in a certain context. Yeah.
right, the context of education where we're teaching people about stuff and so they can understand, then it's absolutely acceptable. But like I said, if I don't, but if say I were to say that I'm hermaphrodite, I would think that you should be respecting and using the term for me.
Yeah, that's right.
You
If
get
that's
my
the
point. I
term
mean,
you
that's all.
chose,
That's
yeah.
the same thing I said. Like I said, I don't never call anyone hermaphrodite. I think it's intersex. But if they said no, this is what it was, then for that one person who did tell me how they should be defined, then I would define that.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
that's
for
fair.
them. So I'm just making sense. That's why I said I don't have an issue too. If they want, I'm strongly male or female, and
and that's fine.
I'm DSD. Right? I would like okay. If they say I have to also do that, then that's not okay.
Right.
I mean, it should be real simple, right? As long as it's to their rights, then they have the right.
Yep.
As long as it's not invading of my rights.
Yeah. It's what is the old adage about like liberty extends until my fist hits your nose or something like that?
Right.
Like, yeah. Like that's literally it. Like, yeah, I have all of this around me. This is me. And that's all of you around you. And I'm not allowed to hurt you. I'm not allowed to do anything on the you.
Exactly. Right. But and so then that's why people don't, I think, they understand when they say, how are we going to solve this stuff with anarchism? They don't understand if we have this ethical change of how we see ourselves and interactions with the world.
Yeah.
That alone should be our revolution, right? That we would demand, because everything that's in a sense harming shouldn't be, that would not be acceptable to us. Like I said, those laws are not a problem. Like here's even in the anarchist world, I don't think it should be lying and cheating and stealing our stuff or killing each other. Like what? No.
Yeah. No.
But if you say that should everybody be fed, well then I would say absolutely they should. Should everybody be housed? Well, of course they should. But to me, like I said, I would say that we need to make sure that everybody in the whole earth that wants to be housed is housed. Everybody in the whole earth that wants to be fed is fed and has water. This is, to me, it should be the basics. But it's like, yeah.
Yep. All right. So the Intersex Society of North America has stated that hermaphrodites should not be confused with intersex people, and that using hermaphrodite to refer to intersex individuals is considered to be stigmatizing and misleading. Estimates of the number of people who are intersex vary depending on which conditions are counted as intersex. The now defunct Intersex Society of North America stated that if you ask experts at medical centers how often a child is born so noticeably atypical in terms of genitalia that a specialist in sex differentiation is called in, the number comes in to about 1 in 1,500 to 1 in 2,000 births, or 0.07 to 0.05%. But a lot more people than that are born with subtler forms of sex and anatomy variations, some of which won't show up until later in life.
Right. And like I said, to me, those people have the right to call themselves intersex.
For sure.
I don't think we're gatekeep should be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know why that's so hard to grasp.
Well, yeah, like it's not. Is there an epidemic of people who are not intersex who are claiming themselves to be intersex?
Once again, it's the right wing panic. It's an intersex panic, like trans panic, right? They're coming up with fake shit that who the fuck is saying they're intersex
when they're not? Yeah,
dude, come on, shut up. Like I said, there's no support anyway. So what benefit could it possibly bring? And when I talk about it, no one cares. I do blog, nobody likes it or whatever. Nobody cares.
It's almost like it's like you say, like it's the opposite of any incentive to call yourself intersex. There's no incentive at all.
It's negative, nothing but negative.
Yeah. So,
like I said, that's why I actually, generally just if I were in a normal conversation with people in the world, I just say I'm a man. I don't bring up all the other shit.
do I have to spend all my day explaining to you what's going on with my sex and gender identity?
Yeah. Cool. They would get mad because it would take a while, and they would, of course, because I would say it, and then they would not either accept it or understand.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Anne Fausto Sterling and her co-authors broadly said that in 2000 that adding the estimates of all known cases of non-dimorphic sexual development suggests that approximately 1.7 of all live births do not conform to a platonic ideal of absolute sex, chromosome, gonadal, genital, and hormonal dimorphism. These publications have been widely quoted by intersex activists. Of the 1.7, 1.5% points, or 88% of those considered non-dimorphic sexual development in this figure, consist of individuals with late-onset congenital adrenal hyperplasia, which may be asymptomatic but can present after puberty and cause infertility.
Well, there's also, it only happens, I think, in like 2 or 3 countries, but so I don't know, maybe it's a gene thing, but where they have intersex that are born one gender, like say, I can't remember if they're born female at sign of birth, in a sense, intersex, and then by puberty they actually start becoming half, in a sense, male, or or feel they're male, in a sense, to forget but their bodies change, like they physically start. I can't remember if they grow like gonads or a penis or something. I can't remember now, but something like happens after. Let's go back to what I mean by that is people like, well, people say, oh, whatever you're born with, that's it. Like, well, no, that's actually not actually accurate. It's
literally not true.
It's still rare, way rarer, but it still happens.
Yeah, that's right. See, that's one of the things that I don't get is like the idea that something's rare is used as an argument to not give those people who are very rare equal rights, right? Like,
yeah, it's not cool.
So it's very rare that these people exist, but so it's almost no imposition on us at all to give them equal.
Really, that's literally about what it is. We don't have to care.
Well,
because they're not a movement that's strong enough or big enough, because there's not enough of them, and enough of them that are out and want to say I'm going to be embarrassed myself and say I'm intersex.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a person going, how many guys really in their life tell everyone I have a micro penis? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or I have, a missing testicle or whatever, I mean, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not common in any sense. Like,
but I'm saying, even if it was common that it was happening, no one would say it because society is toxic as fuck.
Yeah, that's right.
And like we were saying, so in an anarchist society, we would not teach a binary because we wouldn't teach dogma.
Yeah, exactly. We would teach the truth.
Yeah, not dogma.
Yeah. So in response to Fausto Sterling, Leonard Sachs estimated the prevalence of intersex was about 0.018% of the world's population. After discounting several conditions, including LOCAH, Klinefelter syndrome, Turner syndrome, the chromosomal variants of 47XYY and 47XXX, and vaginal agenesis. Sachs reasons that in these conditions, chromosomal sex is consistent with the phenotypic sex, and phenotype is classifiable as either male or female. In a 2003 letter to the editor, political scientist.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, so now you can remove their identities. Oh yeah, fuck off.
We can just pretend that there's fewer of these people because I put these other ones in a different category now.
Right, that's what that person was mad when I was saying they're intersex. I'm like, whatever, fuck you. How about that?
Yeah.
The time for bigots? None.
None.
Fucking not wasting my time on them.
In a 2003 letter to the editor, political scientist Cory analyzed the data used by Fausto Sterling and said the estimated intersex rate should instead have been 0.37 due to many errors. In a response letter published simultaneously, Fausto Sterling welcomed the additional analysis and said, "I am not invested in a particular final estimate, only that there be an estimate." A 2018 review reported that the number of births with ambiguous genitals is in the range of 0.02 to 0.05%.
And like we said, who cares if there was only one? That doesn't mean that child doesn't have human rights. What the fuck?
Exactly. It could be the only one on
That's
Earth.
what I'm saying. They could be the only one on the fucking Earth. I could be the only one. And no one else is intersex. Well, I am, but what the fuck?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you don't have to care because I'm only one. Like, that's literally, do you not get how fucked you are if that's how you treat the most vulnerable?
Yeah, exactly. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Intersex Human Rights Australia says it maintains 1.7 as its preferred upper limit, despite its flaws, stating both that the estimate encapsulates the entire population of people who are stigmatized or risk stigmatization due to innate sex characteristics, and that SAX's definition excludes individuals who experience such stigma and who have helped to establish the intersex movement. According to Interact, a major organization for intersex rights in the US, states that 1.7% of people have some variation of sexual development, aka intersex, 0.5% have atypical genitalia, and 0.05% have mixed or ambiguous genitalia.
Right. And so I think that's good. There's some more stuff too in the blog, but I think that's good because there's more stuff that talks about what DSD is and how they terminology and stuff, and
right.
And so if people want to read more, and then about measuring identities of sexual orientation or gender identity, because I feel like everybody wants to try to tell someone else how the fuck they should fucking feel.
Yeah.
You should be listening, not talking. Anyways. So I think that in general, that's one thing I really have a problem with all this is what the fuck are you telling other people what they should be?
Well, that's exactly the problem with a lot of this rhetoric around all gender and sexual orientation stuff, right? It's like people saying, you don't get to be you, I get to tell you who you are.
Yeah. Just go down, then we'll stop it. Go down where it says intersex human rights. And just read the first two paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intersex people or intersex human rights. Intersex people are born with sex characteristics such as chromosomes, gonads, or genitals that, according to the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, do not fit typical binary notions of male or female bodies. Intersex persons often face stigmatization and discrimination from birth, particularly when an intersex variation is visible. In some countries, this may include infanticide, abandonment, and the stigmatization of families. Mothers in East Africa may be accused of witchcraft, and the birth of an intersex child may be described as a curse. Intersex infants and children, such as those with ambiguous outer genitalia, may be surgically and or hormonally altered to fit perceived, more socially acceptable sex characteristics. However, this is considered controversial with no firm evidence of good outcomes. Such treatments may involve sterilization. Adults, including elite female athletes, have also been subjects of such treatment. These issues are recognized as human rights abuses, with statements from UN agencies, the Australian Parliament, and German and Swiss ethics institutions. Intersex organizations have also issued joint statements over several years, including the Malta Declaration by the Third International Intersex Forum.
Right, so that's good. There's a lot more to read. We're not going to, read all this stuff, but there's a lot more information if people want to go, and always in the blogs anyways. But sure. I think that this helps. There's also, I put in this blog, I have videos where I talk about being intersex and was, interviewed by my friend, the nurse.
Right.
And so, yeah. So, anyways, I think that, and this was really trying to help people like for activism in a sense, like to understand intersex, so they can be also activists for intersex people, not just educated. But yeah, because I think this is didn't you learn enough to where you could fight against it a little bit? The IRFs or
The
whatever.
IRFs, yeah, definitely.
People like intersex doesn't exist. Oh, that used to be intersex, but now it's not. Like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
How about that? Fuck off. You can say it's all non-intersex, and I'll tell you to tell you to go fuck off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway,
Bizarre.
so
all right.
Yeah, try to leave on a positive note.
Yep, for sure. No, I think it's, no matter what, I think it's good that people, if people can make it through all this and listen and learn and come away actually recognizing that intersex people exist, then we've done something worthwhile here.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think we have. So, and I appreciate it, Cory, because I know that certainly as a cis male, it's probably way outside of what you think about normally.
Yeah. Well, but honestly, it's something that is in my purview. Like, it is something, because I do care about trans rights, and I do care about the LGBTQIA plus community. And I know queer people, so I'm friends with you, so I know an intersex person who is
right. You do. That's why I added intersex to that meme that said a trans person, and I'm like, yeah, you probably know intersex. You maybe even like them.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah. No, it's like I say, it's in my purview. It's in the area of people that and things that I do believe deserve attention and care. And yeah, I'm glad we're doing this one.
Yeah, definitely. So also, as we already talked about anarchism, you definitely do some good work for anarchism. And so
no, I tried, but
well, and I think that like I told you before, I think also our behavior, how we interact in the world, it matters, because I really think it's ridiculous, right? It would be almost hypocritical if we act like a fucking terrorist while saying that we believe in kindness and non-aggression. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So no, what? Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you don't want to demonstrate hypocrisy, even though we probably all have some level of it in us.
Right, but like I told you too, that doesn't mean that I'm not a peace activist in the sense that I believe in peace always, like not defending yourself. No, I believe in non-aggression. Our goal should be to not be aggressive.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I'm not a pacifist, but yeah.
Right, pacifist. That's the right word. I was thinking pacifist. Yeah, I'm not a pacifist. Well, that would, first off, I wouldn't feel ethical to be a pacifist. So that wouldn't work for me. Because if I saw someone that needed help and I could help by being aggressive, then I would do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
Kids getting raped, so I'm not going to be aggressive.
Because I'm a pacifist. No, that's not okay. Yeah.
Nope, that's a good time to do it. Yep, totally good.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm just making a comment that So, speaking of that though, go ahead and tell us what you do so we can wrap it up.
Sure. Yeah, I've got my show, the Skeptical Leftist Podcast, and Skeptical Leftist YouTube channel, where I do interviews and I talk to people about a variety of things. Lots of it's about anarchism, and then me and Johnston, we do book reviews. He reads the books and tells me about them, and then sometimes I have my 2 cents to say about them because he's a Marxist and I'm an anarchist, so we have slightly different perspectives. But that's my stuff.
Right. And how would you say with you and me, about different perspectives? I'm just saying.
Oh, I mean, we have different backgrounds.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
so
definitely. so
all over
that
the
there's a
place.
lot of that. Yeah. So like you grew up in a more urban area and I was much more of a farm kid, and like, so I think in the same way the same.
Well, I actually was not meaning about our lives because, yeah, of course, I actually was talking about our anarchism or type of
Oh
thinking.
yeah. Yeah.
Like you were saying,
Yeah.
what I meant is contrasting. You said Justice is a Marxist. I like a lot of stuff
Oh,
Justice
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
I also feel like Justin's my friend too.
Yeah.
And I like Justin definitely. And I also
For
like
sure.
another thing that I like about Justin too, that I like about myself, of course, is the ability to accept critique.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that do
Yeah.
that, I like those people. Because they're managing their ego. People that don't
Well,
manage their ego are like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And while I admire like your ability to have changed your perspective over your life, Justin has done much the same thing.
Yeah.
In different ways, but he's still adjusted his perspective over the course of his life. And I've done the same thing myself. So I think it's a valuable trait to have in people.
Well, I'm just saying, to me, just correction should always be something a truth seeker wants.
Yeah.
Who the hell wants to have the wrong thing or lies? Like, what the fuck? Why would you be more worried about protecting the fact that you had lies than accepting the new truth?
The thing that I get hung up on myself is I get stuck on the fact that I was wrong. And if I was wrong for a long time, then I can beat myself up about being wrong for a long time sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that's okay to take a true assessment of things. Like I said, axiology, to me, should be doing that always. Take a true assessment. Was this really harmful and toxic? I think that's good. Like I think about my life. Like I said, I don't look back at my life and think, oh, wow, fucking wonderful. You know, some of the shit I did and think, wow, I was a piece of shit.
Right.
Man, I'm so glad I changed.
I'm glad I moved past that.
Like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, I was almost dead or in jail. I mean, I was absolutely a piece of garbage and should have been, almost dead or in jail. I mean, just how I treated other people and just garbage. Even like I remember when I was stealing radios out of cars, right? Sometimes if I go and I couldn't get the radio out or was a piece of garbage and I got pissed off that actually I'm in the car and the radio is not worth stealing, then sometimes just to be a dick, I would urinate in the car seat next.
Oh no!
Just to be a dick. I mean, just saying, I would. Somebody had a nice lawn, pissed me off, so I got gasoline and glass, and I threw a plastic bag on a couple of them on their lawn. Big splashes of gas, totally turned it, died and stuff. Anyway, I'm just saying, as a kid, I'm saying, just constantly. Even like I said, did worse stuff, but I'm just saying, even as a kid, I constantly was fucking doing stuff to fucking fight the world or destroy and just toxic.
I think it's a testament to why we need empathy and to understand people and where they're coming from. Right. Because the person that you were then is not the person that you are now.
No.
And had you not and if you don't try and understand people, then you can't see that change. Like that's why people get stuck in institutionalized positions, like in jails and stuff like that.
Right.
Because they don't have anybody.
Really institutionalized in jails. We need to care about. I really told you I hate the prison system. Not that I don't think, but I also not an anarchist that thinks that we don't never have to keep ourselves safe from some people. Like I said, like how I should have been somewhere where I was learning how not to harm people.
Right.
I really shouldn't have been in the general public. I was a fucking nuisance, a threat. So I mean, I get that. I mean, but here's the thing too. The first thing you should think is why.
Exactly.
And almost always, if it's a child, you should think, who is fucking hurting this kid?
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's a response. Because just think. People, even if you didn't think, you do believe if you put your kid in counseling, they're going to probably get better, right? Because a good, safe environment is good for fostering safe people.
Yeah, that's right.
Or it's certainly productive to do that. And my point is that so we do know that it's how we treat people. So when that person going back to like, you can't nurture someone's gender. Like their gender is their gender.
Yeah.
What you can nurture is that their acceptance in a world that hates them or whatever, or help them to feel good about themselves and not hate themselves, or not feel, terrible and bad or whatever, or alone or whatever. Because see, even if like, the thing, even if you can't relate, even if you don't know what to say, you can make them feel not alone.
Yeah, that's right. And with that, we better go.
Yep. See ya.
Thanks.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist-humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer-researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, agnosticism, atheism, antitheism, antireligionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheists can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. Places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudohistory, pseudomorality, things that are found in religion.